away we go. Episode number 54 of the Hcast. We've got a very interesting, fun-filled, it's a doozy of a podcast for you today. Really interesting, obviously, as per the title. The Walt Disney Company earnings call. It was yesterday, so obviously we're not covering it live. That was yesterday, and I'm sure you caught some absolutely fantastic streams of it. Midnight's Edge in the Morning, Valiant Renegades, WDW Pro, all manner.
Yeah, I was in all of them.
He was in all of them, like I was going to say lecherous fungus, but that's a bit rude, isn't it? Anyway, ladies and gents, so we're going to be covering the Walt Disney Company earnings call on your favorite podcast. That is the Hcast. We're in episode number 54. We've got a really interesting one. So obviously, we're not covering it live, but we do have a shareholder, an investor. We've got his take. We've got a pre-recorded segment from him. We're going to go over and take a look at, and then there's obviously all of the media coverages, sort of back end off the earnings call. And so it's very, very interesting. There's a lot to sort of go into here. So we're going to take a look at all of that. A few sort of house rules, sort of like I always do, my basic preamble, guys. Of this always gets demonetized. 9 times out of 10, I always take a look at it. It's demonetized like 20 minutes into the stream. It's very frustrating. But this podcast is funded by you guys, for you guys. So if you want to get your 2 cents in there, I wrote a little comment. Do a super chat. Super chats are the way to do it. We will periodically stop a segment at the end of a segment, take a look at all the super chats and discuss them. Some of them are so good they become their own video on the second channel. One literally went out a few hours ago as its own video on the second channel. So again, this podcast goes up on the second channel, Mr. H Reviews live archives. So it is over there. It's not on the main channel anymore. You won't find it there. So please do check out the links in the description box. And as always, I'm joined by my esteemed guests, my absolutely fantastic panel. We are one down, but he is making his way here. So we've got Culture Casino. How you doing? Good, sir. Are you all right?
I'm great. I'm loving it. Can't wait to get started. Lots to talk about. We got to go.
Nice. It's going to be a fun one. We got Andre for a fairly limited time, about less than 90 odd minutes. But how are you doing, bud? You all right?
I'm doing good. That's not that limited, though. But
not limited, yeah, exactly. Good.
Good.
I like your confidence.
Doing good.
And of course, on time on Thursdays, we've got Nick.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good. I was saying right before you went live, because we were talking about Tom getting here, and Andre was like, "Yeah, he'll be here when he'll be here." And I was getting ready to say, sort of like me on Tuesdays,
Yeah.
I'll be here when I get here, on Tuesdays because of my work meetings. But yeah, Thursdays I'm typically always here on time.
Dear. So, ladies and gents in the chat, like I said, you want to get your 2 cents out, you want to join in the conversation, super chats are the way to do it. And I will say as well, everyone here on this panel, their channels are linked down below. So if you enjoy any of their input, which I'm sure you do, because it is, of course, your favorite podcast, you can go and check out their links down below and hit subscribe on their respective channels. Because, of course, what you see here is merely a snapshot of their general takes over on their own channels, basically. So, first things first, let's just have a brief chit chat about the earnings call before we get to this intro video from Mikey, Mexican Iron Man. How do we think it went? Because there's a lot of rumors and rumblings. Apparently, AI is a big point of contention. The answers weren't quite there. What do we think? Let's have a brief overview. I mean, Andre, you streamed. Oh, God, it's like you're sitting like exams basically yesterday, revision. So, what do you think? What do you think about it all? How do you think it went?
I spent 2 out of 3 streams warning everyone, don't get excited, because we got spoiled, and especially the first earnings call of this year, where the floor was open to average shareholders, and also the second one, where during both of which Iger was pummeled a little bit. And I was like warning everyone, don't get too excited. They will have learned from this. This will be very carefully scripted. They're going to screen the calls like you have no idea, and they're only professional investors calling in this time. So yeah, I was fairly sure that this isn't going to be all that exciting. The only revelations that are going to come will be pure business revelations, and beyond that, there's not going to be anything too exciting. And that is indeed what happened. I think that from Disney's point of view, given the situation they are in, this went as good as they possibly could have hoped in any universe. Like there's no scenario under which this earning call could have gone any better for them than it did. I think the shareholders who called in to ask questions, some of them obviously asked things that Bob Iger probably would rather that they didn't. But there are so many things they could have asked, which would have been so infinitely much worse. They didn't press any points because they don't have the opportunity. But like, for instance, one shareholder could have said, you know what? I'm going to skip my question and ask you to properly answer the previous one. That could have happened, but it didn't. So all in all, for Disney, this went as good as it possibly could for a company in crisis. And Disney is a company in crisis. Let's make no mistake about it.
Yeah, I'd probably have to concur with that, to be fair. I mean, I think a lot of people were right to be like, hey, don't expect any bombshells. They would absolutely have learned from that PR nightmare. They don't like, they're going to double down on trying to save face here as much as possible. And of course, it wasn't open to the sort of Joe public like the last. It was the last one.
It was the previous one. It was the first of the year, and it's going to be the same thing next year. It's the first of 2024. Yeah. It's going to be the one that's
that'll be when potentially some people can slip through the cracks.
Yeah, and I'm not worried about that because I think something major will have happened before then.
Okay. Why? What's your prediction?
We can get back to that later. Unless you want my prediction right now.
Yeah, go on. Give me. Oh, all right. No, culture. What's your take of the whole earnings call then?
Yeah, no, I was just going to suggest we wait till we get Mikey's thoughts, and then we can speculate on the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Real quick, my reaction was very similar to Andre's, although I would say that Iger employed a lot of rhetorical techniques he seemed to have remembered during this particular. Yeah, he got coached up again on how to talk to people. Fudge, but he did a lot of obfuscation. There wasn't any direct answers. He didn't actually necessarily answer the questions people asked. One of the maneuvers you will note from that call is he said, you know what, I'll answer your second part first, or your second question first. And then that way he could obfuscate or ditch the first question that was uncomfortable.
He also mints around the second part too much, so the first one gets dropped.
Lots of buzzwords, generalizations, and stuff like that were utilized. Again, rhetorical techniques to dodge things. He also got burned at the end. The very last question set he had to answer got him. It was good. It was stuff he didn't want to answer. I think Valiant Renegade was very pointed that out right at the end of his coverage of it live.
Well, but for those that obviously weren't watching, can you remind people of what that actually was?
Do you remember the actual structure of the question, Andre, when he was asked specifically about the potential for ESPN and the cash on hand question?
I don't recall that right now in this moment.
Yeah, there were just two questions where he clearly did not, and I can't even paraphrase it, but it essentially during the point of his answer, he was so incredibly uncomfortable. He should not have answered the questions. It was like but he went ahead because the guy is hubris. He's living hubris. If you want to see somebody who's just so full of himself. But gosh, I wish I'd have written it down. But anyway, overall, it wasn't like a lot of bombshells, but there were a lot of there's ripples underneath this that I think you're seeing electronic trading right now where bots are doing the buying and selling, because Disney actually was up like $3 or something. But I have no faith that that's going to stick around, because nothing that he gave us was good news. And, Andre's, after we get through Mike's thing, I think Andre can probably speak to the liquidity issue, which I'm sure we'll cover as well. So. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why I wanted to structure this stream in the way that I have. So our general thoughts and actual shareholders' thoughts, and then cover the general media's sort of backlog, because
Yeah.
this is business, and the media response, actually what's come out in the media in terms of the headlines, affects all of these things, and I can see it affecting it very, very, very badly.
Yeah, and when we get ready to wrap this up, I have some final thoughts I want to tack on, because I think you guys want to talk about something I've noticed recently. So we'll get to that at the end. So I think we need to jump to Nick, because I don't want to spoil it. It's going to be a good
Go on,
conversation.
Nick. Thoughts,
real
bro.
quick. So in the private chat, while we go through this, if you guys want to pull it up, is the complete transcript of the investors call from yesterday. Just in case you guys wanted to look at it. Culture might be able to find that question.
I'm looking for it right
now. But anyways, yeah, I kind of felt the same way as everybody else. It was very political. It felt very scripted. We didn't really get a whole lot of meat out of that. It was very milkish, the whole thing from pretty much start to finish. I thought that the biggest thing out of it was the whole Disney Plus thing, where he tried spinning it like it was they had a bright forecast for Disney Plus, and was giving all these numbers and these subscribe. It was just very spinnish. And I didn't feel like he was being very truthful or accurate at all, which is to be expected from one of these things, and from somebody like him. So that was kind of some of my takeaways from it.
Okay, excellent. Right, well, that's a nice little intro for everyone watching. So sort of break ourselves in nicely. I think what we should do now, ladies and gents, is move on to a pre-recorded segment from shareholder and investor Mikey, the Mexican Iron Man. He was very kind enough to do this. He was on the call, was listening. He's unable to be here right now because family time, basically. I don't want to reveal too much. It's not for me to say. But he obviously sends his regards, and he does have the link so he can get on if he has the availability. But we're going to listen to this now and then sort of discuss. So this is essentially a reaction, a thoughts from someone who has invested in Disney. So let's have a watch of this, guys.
Shout out to you, Mr. H. Nate. Great to be with you today, and all the panelists, all the people in live chat, and hail to the mods. Recording this video to give you guys a earnings call review of what happened with Disney. Fortunately, I cannot be there live as I'm vacationing in Orlando with my family, and we are today at the Kennedy Space Center. So I'm recording this before we head out, and just trying to cover all of the major things. So thanks so much for the invite. Thanks for inviting me. And I did listen to the call late last night, and then this morning put some thoughts together. So let's go over what happened. It was fascinating that in the pre-call, prior to the call, there were two things that happened. One is they made a major announcement, and two is that the stock started approaching $90 a share. Now that's significant because the stock has been languishing at or about 85, 86, 87, and it started taken up towards about $90 a share. And they also made a major announcement, or what should have been a major announcement. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, the overall theme focused on long-term growth, cash flow, and they reconfirmed that they're going to target to get a dividend done by the end of the year. It'll probably be modest, but that's what they were reaffirming. And I think what happened is that theme made the stock price sort of not crash as it might have otherwise done. Now, some of the highlights and headlines: their subs were down, their streaming loss decreased, earnings were a little bit better than estimated, but that's based mostly upon cuts and one-time write-downs where they charged off a bunch of items in order to create some profit. And then you'll see shortly that the stock ended down slightly. So prior to the call, it was going up. Now, the streaming losses came in at $512 million. So they lost $512 million in the last 3 months on the streaming platform compared to what they estimated that they were going to do, which was $777 million. So they lost less money. They still lost $512 million in 3 months, which is just astounding to me that you have any company that in any business unit could lose $500 million in 3 months. But yeah, that's what they did. Now, on the matter of the Hollywood strike, we need to remember that in June, Mr. Iger said that creative talent was demanding not realistic expectations. That got him in a bit of a heat for what he said, saying that the writers and the actors were not being realistic with their demands. But today's call, or yesterday's call, I should say, was a bit different tone. It seems that someone got to Mr. Iger and someone gave him some advice to have a change of tone, because he said, and I quote, "I have deep respect and appreciation for all of those who are vital to the extraordinary creative engine that drives this company and our industry." Yeah, right, Bob. Sure you do. When he did the CNBC interview, I think he was being comfortable, casual, and honest. And I think when he was on the call yesterday for Disney, he was being political, which Bob is known to do. Disney Plus, they announced that they're going to crack down on passwords, similar to Netflix. It's going to be a key component for the future for this premium platform, that they're going to crack down, guys, on those passwords, which I think is an absolute joke, because the few people that have Disney Plus subscriptions and share their passwords, I think once they lock down on this, Netflix had more subscribers, people paying to get that password and their unique username. And I think in the case of Disney Plus, they're either unintentionally stupid or intentionally moronic in terms of their approach to this, because all this is going to do, and maybe this is what they wanted to do, all this is going to do is get people to do the ad-based platforms, which is maybe what they want. Maybe they don't want people paying premium, which I don't understand that, because the whole point of doing Disney Plus in the first place was that they wanted a Netflix type revenue model where people were paying subscriptions in order to generate revenue, to generate a profitable streaming service. Anyways, let me continue on. In the last 3 quarters, they lost 11 million subs in Disney Plus. They had 157 million at the beginning of the quarter, and they went down to 146 million from the second quarter. So second quarter, they had 157 million. Third quarter, 146 million. That is a loss. If you take that 11 million loss, that is an average of 122,000 subs per day. Now, they were quick to point out a lot of them are from India and from global, less revenue per user, and that's true. But I just find it ironic that a year or two ago, all this company talked about a sub growth, and then now that they've got decreasing subs, 11 million. Think about that. That's 11 million less people are watching Disney content around the world in just 3 months. So they went from like being all about the subs to now they're trying to, in this call, they're trying to brush it under the table. Content spending, they will spend less significant going forward. They cited the strike and desire to spend less on unique produced content. I found it interesting that none of the legal issues, any discussion about the legal issues, federal and state lawsuits with Florida, shareholder lawsuits, all of that talk was avoided. It was just completely brushed under the rug, which I found to be quite interesting indeed. I'm going to go to the second slide now, where I have some more other comments that I want to share. And I'm sure you guys will have lots of questions. Hopefully, after this presentation video runs, I'll be able to dial in and answer some of your questions, depending on my mobile cell service. Anyway, Disney Plus, they're going to raise prices on premium ad-free content and Hulu. So all of the Hulu, all the Disney Pluses, everybody, any of you that have the service, all their prices are going up by more than 20%. And that's going to happen soon, October 12th. Okay, August, September, October. That's just a couple months away. 2 months away, they're going to increase those. And they're trying to get Netflix-like margins. I think they're going to fail because people aren't interested in Disney Plus content. The cruises doing well. They mentioned the growth. They've got 2 ships that are going to be added to the fleet coming soon. I did find a very slight little comment about Disney merchandise in the financial report that I thought was interesting. which is that they have a decrease in merchandise sales and revenue related to Star Wars, Avengers, and Toy Story. It's a 4% decline just in this quarter alone. So 4 out of 100 people, 4 out of 100 is that 4%. So there's a decrease of 4% in Star Wars, Avengers, and Toy Story merchandise sales. Gee, I wonder why, right? Park revenue. Park revenue is up 11% overall. International parks are posting the best financial results. Now, I thought it was interesting that there was no specific announcement about a company sale or any announcement about any of the particular assets. The question did come up in the Q&A session that I heard where they asked about it. And basically what Bob Iger did is he avoided discussing it. He almost said that, oh, it's too early to tell. He said it's too early to tell. And then he cited, these things have lots of regulatory hurdles to jump over, which is true. But I feel confident that if you look at what's happened with other companies and the political climate in general, I think that they could find a way to hammer through the sale of some of Disney assets. In any event, it was not a major topic on the call, and Bob Iger dodged it. In fact, related to all of the hot issues were avoided. So the train wreck that has been the last two investor calls, the shareholder call that happened, and then the investor call from last quarter, all of the hot issues were avoided. Box office losses, lawsuits, culture war, theme issues. It was a very innocuous, kind of vanilla call. Bob didn't lose his temper. Bob didn't get any tough questions by any of the institutional investors. And the way in which the report was written and the way in which the questions in the Q&A were answered basically avoided any and all hot takes. And I think someone from the PR and marketing department and legal at Disney clearly got to Bob. And in the wake of what happened with the CNBC interview, where he had a lot of hot takes, and in the wake of other things that have happened, like the strike announcement and all of that, I think someone that has got to him. So it was a very moderate vanilla box tone. Now, what I will now mention is this. We've got to remember that at CNBC, he announced that he got a contract extension. In this call, he did mention and reference that that they're still looking for a successor to replace him. And before the call in the morning, there was an ESPN press release announcement where a $2 billion deal was announced with Penn Entertainment to launch ESPN Bet. It's going to be a branded sports book. Penn will pay the media giant sports arm $1.5 billion in cash over 10 years to rebrand its current sports book and relaunch as ESPN Bet this fall in the 16 legal states where this is allowed. ESPN will be granted $500 million of warrants and purchase around 31.8 million common shares of Penn stock in exchange for media marketing service and all. So it's a $2 billion deal, and it's structured with a 1.5 cash and 500 million 500 million related to stock warrants. So that announcement happened before the call, and that may be part of the reason why the stock started going up. But after all, if we look at what happened with this call, overall, what's happened is that Disney as a company missed its quarter 3 revenue by 180 million. The revenue was 22.3 billion. They did beat the earnings expectations by $1, and they're basically announcing $1.03 per share. But almost all of that comes from cuts, cost savings, and one-time write-downs, like writing off investments that in assets where they just literally took the loss. So whether it's Star Cruiser or whether it's some of the stuff that we saw with Disney and Willow, they're all write-downs in one time. So they're just cut. And that's how they're generating that earnings per share. They're not generating earnings per share based upon sales, effective operating costs, and good old-fashioned net profits, which I find interesting. The stock at the end of the day closed at 87.49. That's as of yesterday. And then after hours trading this morning before the market opens, it's at 87.49. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe by the time of the live stream, Nate or one of the guys on the panel can bring that up and we can check that and see where the price is at this afternoon. But overall, the stock wasn't punished from this, at least not in the first day from this. It also wasn't rewarded. And I think the institutional investors, all the people that asked the Q&A, Wall Street, are giving him another 3 months to see where this thing goes. And I to be honest, Nate and team, I'm in shock that this stock is even in the 80s. There's not one thing that's going right at this company except to some overseas parks and cruise ships. Everything else has a problem, and that problem is major. So with that, thanks for having me. I'm sorry I can't be there with you live, but family is the priority, and hopefully this special report leads to a great conversation. And my shout out to everyone in the chat and everyone on the show, and my congratulations to you, Nate, and the panel for having this amazing show on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You know, you talk about it being your favorite podcast. It certainly is my favorite podcast, at least not for any of the shows that I'm on, but I make time to tune for it. So I love being a member, and congratulations on all the great work and the growth of the channel and the show. Thank you.
Well, what a bloody
Awesome.
great analysis that is from Mike, Mexican Iron Man, someone who, was on the call. That was bloody brilliant, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
Shout out to
fantastic.
Mike.
I mean, you are not going to get a better analysis in any industry professional trade, whether it be Hollywood or the financial services, anywhere than that. That was the single best you're going to get. So massive thank you to Mike.
I think the only thing Mike is more thorough with is married women. So
There you go.
Jumping out of windows.
Oh, dear, oh dear. So just to quickly recap on what Mike said at the end there, we have this from Culture, and I think you pulled one up as well,
Yeah.
Nick, didn't you?
Yeah. I was sharing it as well. I'll stop sharing mine one.
No. Sorry. So yeah. So
It's the same
what?
thing.
So it's still what in 92.3. So he's
It's gone up
right
like
though.
$6 in the last week.
I mean, he's right with his analysis, though, isn't he? Like, why is it as high? What is going on?
Yeah. See, again, I mean, nobody here is going to give you stock advice or financial advice of any kind. So don't even take what we say with anything.
It doesn't need to be said.
Nobody here is financial advisor.
Yeah, but I'm actually quite surprised. Again, what the stock did early this morning was what I anticipated it was due, which was fall from the artificial high bump that it got yesterday, going into the quarterly call. To have it rise like it has today makes zero sense financially based on the analysis you just heard from Mike. I mean, the loss of the Disney Plus subs, and again, as he accurately pointed out, they were touting the sub count as the most important thing. And then they said, well, we have in part of his presentation yesterday, and he said it in a different way on the last one, was that they have to have different thinking now, turning towards profitability and thinking about, the revenue per user, coming up, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of that, I think, came from the fact that a lot of the way he said things yesterday came from the fact that Warner Brothers Discovery chief David Zaslav took Disney to town, saying that they have a lot of very not valuable ARPU earnings from countries like India, et cetera, et cetera. And not that India is not important; it's just you literally are paying like 70 cents for a Disney Plus, thing over there, or at least that's what the revenue per user is like 70 cents. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andre, but it's very, very low.
It's something like that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. And then of course he had the same reaction to the password sharing thing that I did. They're raising prices so ridiculously now. And we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. I'm just saying there's so many different things he touched on. Mike's analysis says this thing should be in the low 80s, not where it sits right now. So, and I agree with him. I don't know about anything else you guys heard, but that's what I heard.
I wonder if it's being artificially inflated.
That's what I was going to say
for a potential sale, because that's the big rumor. That Apple, who has like $2 trillion or something. I mean, they could easily buy the entire company of Disney, but of course, like Mike said, and like Iger said, there's a lot of red tape and government crap and hoops that you got to jump through for that to even happen. So yeah, it's very curious why this is going up. And we've been
Actually,
hearing
it's
also.
not curious at all, and I'll get back to that. Just sorry, I just like you answered the question right there, but I'll elaborate it when you finish your thoughts.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. On top of that, all summer we have been hearing about the Disney parks being very low amount of people coming in and spending money there. Wait time for rides has been at the lowest. Uh, everything that we're hearing outside of that investors call yesterday is not good news. And then on top of that, Iger's talked about pulling back, making content for Marvel, making content for Star Wars, but here they are talking about increasing prices for Disney Plus. So you're going to increase the price of your streaming service, but decrease the amount of content you're gonna put on there. It doesn't make any sense. Why would anybody pay more for less? I mean, I feel like they're very desperate at this point in time.
So you're saying instead of another 5 years, it's going to be 10 years before we see another Star Wars movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe when they're done shooting Rise of Skywalker, we'll get one.
Yeah, they're still trying to finish that thing up.
I heard they're shooting it right next door to the Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Andre. That was all I had.
As for why the share price is increasing, the thing to keep in mind is that the share price is not as demanded by it's the overall weight of the market. And the market as a whole isn't rational, it's emotional. It reacts to fear and it reacts to hope. And anyone who does any kind of day trading will be able to tell you exactly this. You have the pure logical analysis, which is what robots do, which is why if you have a robot do trading for you, usually you are going to do fairly well, apart from the times when a human is able to predict how other humans is going to react to this or that, is able to predict an emotional reaction. And then the human trader beats the shit out of the robot that uses only the analysis. I think what's going on here, because Mike is exactly right, there really is nothing good about the company. Apart from Bob Iger's complete and total non-denial about them being bought by a company like Apple. If that were to happen, you know what's going to happen? Apple is going to come in, they're going to give an offer to every single shareholder to take over their shares at the price that is the market price plus even more. Meaning, if you were to buy Disney shares right now because you anticipate an Apple deal going forward at some point, you're going to see a nice profit when that happens.
Yeah.
So if you were to just look at Disney on their whole, completely ignore that aspect to it, I mean, yeah, the share price shouldn't even be in the 80s, maybe not even in the 60s, because this is a company that is, in a sense, too big to fail, but yet failing it is. There's no two ifs about it. Can they recover? Yeah, but it's going to take them freaking years to recover, to turn things around. It's a big ship, and it's going to take them a minimum of 5 years in order to be able to turn things around. But what can turn things around in a heartbeat is if someone like Apple comes in and says, hey, we're going to pick up this company. And if you want to hear my prediction, as I spoke to before, I think that after the next shareholder meeting, after the final quarterly results of this year, that's when it's going to happen.
Quick question, Andre. We know how the whole Fox thing went down. You know, that was a 2-year venture for them to actually acquire it. If this happens with Apple, how long do you see this taking to get through all the red tape and governmental oversight before Apple actually owns Disney?
I think that there's two sides to it, because one is in America and then it's the rest of the world. I think that in America it's going to go fast, really fast. and then the rest of the world is going to be the holdup. In the rest of the world, there's going to be legalities and stuff like that, but that's just like time-consuming stuff. You still have some repercussions from the Fox deal and everything, but it's not going to fundamentally stop
The
anything.
fact that he brought up regulations instead of just flat out denying any sales is kind of telling to me.
Yeah,
That means that they're
True, he
either
never
in the
denied.
middle of something and or it's definitely on the table. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Tom is entirely right. I mean, Tom has been saying that this thing is more likely than anyone probably thinks, and he's entirely right about that. And that is what the market is reacting to right now. Look at all the trades. They are writing about Apple buying Disney, and they're doing that because Bob Iger, and this was very, very scripted, did not deny anything. He phrased himself away to let the market know that this is something that can happen. Now, whether it is or not, that is what the share price is going with right now.
Well, I'd also say, you know, on the topic of Disney sale to Apple and sort of the red tape and things like that, this article from the Hollywood Reporter, I think makes for a very interesting read, because they're talking about the fact that the likelihood is that Disney will just segment the business up into tiny little pieces, and Apple will only buy bits and pieces of it. Basically, it won't be, you know, the studio proper as a whole. There'll still be assets that are retained with Disney, etc. Like Disney are never going to sell the parks, or, you know, they won't sell the parks to Apple specifically. There's no point doing that. But, you know, the media elements, the studio elements, and bits and pieces of it, yeah, high chance being sold to Apple. And I mean, this has been floated for so long now. I remember covering this a couple of years back.
This little chestnut,
you know,
this little chestnut's been around for a decade now. This is not anything new. So.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I mean, I'm leaning towards your take on it. Is that you know, if they sell off anything to, I still think if they sell anything off to Apple, it's going to be like the Fox remnants, because I don't see an upside, you know, for parting with the things that are normally profitable. I mean, now the only thing I think is pulling in dollars for real is the cruise line, and that's it. I can't because as Mikey pointed out, and maybe just, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but as Mikey pointed out, I mean, they really, the only thing that they got for their EPS numbers was cuts. Cuts were the things that drove or preserved revenue this time around, and that's not a sustainable model. You're not going to lay off 7,000 more people like that. You're not going to write off a, you know, $700 million Star Cruiser hotel. So.
Yeah, but this is what makes people in the sort of business world really think that they're looking to do it. You know, if you see Bob start to divest things, that feels like he's prepping for a sale, and there's clearly no bar like Apple. There is no one else that can really buy it.
Well, there are.
Of all the red tape.
Actually, there are, but with Apple, there would be less red tape, and also it is something that would go over easy, because there already is a significant shareholder overlap between Apple and Disney as it is. I mean, one of like Disney's largest individual or private shareholders is the widow of Steve Jobs.
Well, no, it's not what I was about to say. I was going to say something else. Was it BlackRock or Vanguard recently just become quite large shareholders in Apple as well, like sort of trying to position themselves as a joint?
Yeah, I know they took a bite out of Apple, but they took a big bite out of Disney, and they traded places with the slightly darker rock. So
right, but that's what I mean. So, like, you know, the biggest shareholder of each company is, well, the same now.
And the reason I've been saying this for a while now is, look, if Apple is ever going to make the plunge and buy a studio, I would believe that the first thing they're going to do is go for the gusto. And who is the gusto? Of course, it's Disney. Who do they have the most association with? Disney. What does this move also happen? What happens laterally if this does happen? You get Mr. Lasseter back into the mix as well. So that's another plus. There's so much that goes into this that I don't see the negatives until you hit certain, like, you know, regulations and other things. But as we pointed out on the morning show yesterday, is they've got the money and they've got the right political people on their side, that it's not going to matter at the end of the day. Sure, it may take a little longer, like Andre said, in certain other situations, but I can see them spinning ESPN off to its own entity. I can see them spinning or splitting the parks and the entertainment division. And I can see Apple being very interested in the entertainment division. And maybe Culture's right. Maybe all they want is Fox, since Disney hasn't done jack squat with Fox. Even though we call it Fox, it has nothing to do with Fox because that's what it's associated with and that's what people know it as. And that's where I say it was their biggest mistake ever, was dropping the Fox moniker when they bought it. It's like buying McDonald's and saying, we're going to change the name to Fred's. You bought the name, you dumb shit. We all know Fox is dead, but at the end of the day, you haven't really utilized it in any way, shape, or form. Eventually, we're going to get some alien movies. All the stuff that they have that's worth anything is kind of not worth as much anymore. Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, all are struggling right now. But if anybody would really be able to supercharge them with any kind of, injection of money or using them with synergy, it would be Apple. Like, can you imagine them selling like R2D2 iPads and shit like that? Like, I can see that easily.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the end of the day, I get what these guys are saying. It is a very implausible kind of situation because of a lot of rich situations, but it's become to a point where I think we're closer to it ever happening than ever happening before. I used to bring up how it might happen in a hostile takeover, because if Disney were to get so bad that Apple or somebody else would swoop in and just take them over, basically, and Apple be one of the people positioned to do so, but. It's one of those things where I just don't see Apple going for anybody else at first, because I do agree with Culture that the only other people that they might be interested in would be possibly Paramount, because I'm not even sure Sony and them could deal because of too many overlaps.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think Sony's got the capitals to do it either.
Well, no, I think Sony wasn't going to be targeted by Apple for what I think Tom was alluding to, because that's a lot of problems that they would have to overcome regulation wise because of their involvement in games and electronic.
Right. That's what I mean. There's too much that overlaps there with
And I look, the reason I see the Fox deal more than I see the Apple as a whole is that it's just easier for them to part with, because outside of like the stuff they got from the Fox deal, they really, as Tom said, they're not doing anything with it. It's just sitting there. You have libraries worth of content, which is the whole thing, Amazon.
The problem with just selling Fox, though, Culture, and we've talked about this before. It makes sense financially right now. It's the one thing they could do that would get them out of the hole and help them buy Hulu. But then what the hell's the point of buying Hulu if you ain't got a Fox catalog to put on it? Well, see, like, that's kind of the whole point. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm with you, but I think that the caveat would be placed on this, and this is something that I think we talked about the other day when we were roundtabling this in the morning on the show. I still think that they retain access and rights to that for 99 years. They just like what the Barstool deal did yesterday when Portnoy got Barstool back for $1, but anytime he looks to market or sell that business again, he has to hand 50% of the earnings or the profit from that over to Penn Entertainment if he ever elects to sell it. And also he's got to sign a non-compete agreement, which means he's not going to go into the gaming business. So, they kind of locked him down, but he's already $500 million richer because of that deal. So I don't think he cares much. But I like I said, I would strongly suspect, like that one deal, they'll lock in those properties to use them for as long as they think they're viable. And that, but it won't preclude obviously Apple from being able to take them. I see an MGM Amazon deal here more than I see anything else. And the other studio I forgot to mention, Tom, and I don't know if you agree, and Andre or anybody else that wants to talk about this, but the only other studio that Apple would go after, I think, would be Lionsgate. Lionsgate just acquired E1 Entertainment, so now they have even more assets to play with. So
yeah, but they don't have anything good. That's what we were asking about. That whole thing.
No, you're right.
What are they actually getting out of that? And Bombgate, I think, would be that would be. I see what you're saying, like with the Amazon MGM deal, but I don't see. Unless they do a lot of television deals together, because I do know Lionsgate does a lot of television, I just don't see Apple slumming it with Lionsgate. To me, that feels like that's a complete mismatch. I don't know. I could be wrong, but
I would agree with that too.
Well, one thing, just to hit on something Tom was talking about, and I'm sure probably some people in the chat are curious about this as well. If Apple is interested in mainly the entertainment side of Disney, I'm guessing that would include Disney Plus that they would be getting, as well as Hulu after the first of the year, which they would, I'm guessing, if that's the case, would then merge into Apple Plus and just have one streaming service, correct? Or
yeah, I'd imagine so. I imagine that's what they would do. I mean, it makes sense rather than keep a brand. Well, would it though? Is the brand of Disney Plus strong enough? No, not really. Maybe they would. I don't know.
Well, the value of the streaming is where I think that they've kind of
Just content, isn't it? That's what they want. They want content.
Yeah.
But that actually takes us nicely off to our next topic, which is all about the streaming itself.
Yeah.
And whether it's worth it. I mean, this segues really nicely from Apple purchasing it and whether they would bring it all under one roof. I mean, Disney Plus is a failing brand, I think, personally. The prices, they're going to increase things by 20% within a couple of months now. And it's not only that, you've got password sharing crackdowns. This is going to backfire massively. As Mikey said on his analysis of it all, you know, are they chasing the ad model? But advertisers, we all know we're in the online space. We get paid from advertisers as well as you lovely people in the chat doing super chats. But ad revenue for Google has gone down as well. People are pulling out of adverts. So if they're heavily reliant on adverts, that's a terrible business model. So, I mean, I don't think Apple would. I don't know. In thoughts, guys. At the end of the day, let's get your thoughts on this, because to me, the very fact that they're looking to do this premium subscription stuff, you know, oh yeah, but we'll offer an ad bundle as well. I think that reeks of, I mean, it's desperation anyway.
I mean, if you would have told me a year, 2 years ago that Disney Plus would be on the lower end of the spectrum of the streaming wars, I would call you a liar. But considering what they have done, what Bob has promised and not delivered, and how they have destroyed the base model for everything that made Disney what it is today, I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe Disney Plus is one of the worst services we have right now. It should be one of the ones that everybody keeps and everybody wants to have, especially if you have kids. And then what was it, like a year ago, Culture, we were hearing that the statistics were that over 50% of the people that had Disney Plus didn't even have kids.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Mikey said they've lost like 11 million?
11 million, I believe, is the number we've been looking at now.
Insane.
That is much worse than what Netflix faced the last few times when they had the issues.
Oh, yeah. I think they lost 2 million. It was just 2 million.
It was 2 and then 2, I think. So 4 altogether, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, and the initial 2 was because they shut down in Russia. So that was an instant cut. Anyway, I mean, yes, this is because they've lost stuff in India, but I mean, they didn't lose 11 million total from India.
Yeah, this was the biggest loss that they've had in a quarter for subs, which, again, it's predominantly India. But here in the States, you're losing 300,000 subs of Disney Plus. That's your largest ARPU market. That's where most of the revenue comes from. That's going to hurt. North America is your bread and butter, and they are saying no to your stuff.
You can't blame this on cricket. Exactly.
Nah.
So what? Yeah, I mean, Disney Plus as a brand hiking it to 20%. I mean, I don't see a. And what do they say? Mike said that it lost $512 million. It was projected to lose. Disney Plus was projected to lose $770 million, but it lost 500.
Yeah, it only lost half.
I suggest, or I submit that early, because it was projected to lose like 700. I think that's something that was put out there.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree.
They can say, "Oh, the actual number is we only lost 500 million. That's 200 million less than you thought. Great success."
Well,
I massively agree with that statement. 100% agree. And the fact that they applauded themselves for that. Oh, well, we only lost $500 million on Disney Plus. What are you smoking, mate?
Yep.
Like, that's not something to be. That's not something to be like, oh, well done, only $500 million. What?
Yeah, but we didn't lose 700 million.
I know. Yeah, obviously I know, but it's
insane. That's where they're going.
Yep. Disney Plus went live November 12th of 2019. and correct me if I'm wrong, but to my recollection, I don't think they've reported a profit not one time in this 4 years that they launched
No,
the
it's
Disney.
It
never
was never
turned
meant
any
to be.
profit.
They have projected that they're going to be profitable with Disney Plus at the end of 2024.
24. Yeah.
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 That
And
is
it
not
was
gonna
the-
The
happen.
direction
and
it's
they
going,
did
it
not
doesn't seem
change
that
that.
way.
That is not going to happen. That is absolutely. That is not going to
Hmm.
happen. They spent $211 million of what we know on Secret Invasion. They're spending like $250 million on the Acolyte. They're losing subscribers. That is not going to happen. Do you think that's going to happen, guys? At the end of 2024 in profit? How? Someone's cooking
I
the books
would not
there.
put money on it.
Jesus. Constant loss. Constant loss. And do you think that when they say that it's going to turn a profit, are they, in terms of how they do their books, are they doing asset reduction? So that there's a way to do accounts where you basically asset investment reduction in cost, so the total value gets deducted on a yearly basis from their sort of their debt margin, as it were. So that 14 billion or whatever it was. Are they reducing that debt on a yearly basis because it's an asset, which is, they're sort of just, do you understand this sort of accounting thing that I'm talking about or not? Anyone understand this?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
So something in UK, if you're doing your accounts, you can do like you can offset your books with assets. So you can offset your
depreciation.
sort of, that's the one.
Yeah.
There you go. You know the right terms. I
Yeah.
don't. I'm hot and bothered and my back aches.
I know them, but I know them in Norwegian. Like if that.
Would you think that's what they're doing then, Culture?
Well,
to
yeah,
get
I
this
mean,
profit that they're talking about, because that's the only way I can see that they would be doing it. And it just explain to people, because I did a terrible job. Explain what I was trying to say.
Well, I would say they've done accelerated depreciation on a lot of things in order to artificially make it look like they had earnings. Again, Mike kind of addressed it in what he was saying.
Just real quick, explain to people what I was trying to say, so people understand.
Well, like taking a write-off on something all at once instead of breaking it out over a term of years, right? For example, like Willow. Right, Willow, they just wrote it off outright. Right, that's like a one-time hit that you're taking rather than breaking that up over a series of years. See, normal depreciation cycles depend upon the asset that you're buying, whether it be a car, a house, or whatever, for business purposes.
Streaming service.
Yeah, exactly. And in this case, I mean, you're gonna have things that you can write down all along the way. But I think that they probably, and again, this is reflected across all of their sectors of business for the most part. I think they took some accelerated write-offs so that they, even though it's only a one-time deal, it's going to benefit them financially and make the books look better. And I think that's what Mike was specifically referring to. I know he's not going to be able to join us because he just doesn't have service right now, but I'm 100% lockstep agreement with him when it comes to that. I think that Disney kind of, put their thumb on the scale for this quarter just to continue to mask everything else that's been going on for a long period of time. But no, you had the terminology right. You just didn't know the word. So yeah.
There you go. Wow, that's that's the only way I can see them turning a profit. Yeah. Disney Plus is a dead brand. That is not going into profit in 2024. Absolutely no. Not without.
Yeah, and little Chad in the chat actually just broke it down beautifully. Yeah, you're generally allowed to depreciate items over a course of years. That's what I said, and it allows you to get a longer term write-off. But you realize the income immediately. Writing things off early is not a good idea. And there you go.
Yeah,
I think the max. I think the max is here in the States is 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that puts it at 2024. Yeah. 2019, 2024.
Yep, end of 2024. So then going into 2025, which is when he said that they would start, that would make sense.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Nailed it. Anyway,
amortization, depreciation schedules, they all fall in line with this stuff. So yes, all that's true.
Right, well, ladies and gents, let's get to some of your absolutely fantastic super chats. So we will move on to some other topics as well, of course, all centered around the Walt Disney Company earnings call, the Q3 earnings call of 2023. But your favorite podcast is funded by you guys, because it is literally right now. You might have seen the screen flicker on my face a few times. We're demonetized. We don't no reason.
I didn't even do anything yet.
I know. I know.
We're
We need to
talking
make it
in your
worth their
ear, Tom.
while. We need to make it worth their while for demonetizing it. I mean, for goodness sake.
I haven't even said the F word yet.
YouTube was like, that Tom Connors guy's in here. Demonetize the stream. Hurry.
Dear,
Probably.
So yes, ladies and gents, we are demonetized, but this show is funded by you guys. For you guys, it is your favorite podcast. So please do drop in with a super chat, and we will cover your topic as in depth as we possibly can. And more often than not, they become their own video on the second channel. So, Istari Azul for $4.99 says, do you think Barbie could save the Marvels if a special deal to borrow characters was made? Could Barbie save The Witcher? Maybe even Galadriel? I'm going to get out on a limb and say this may be a bit of a tongue-in-cheek super chat. I would say no. Barbie cannot save anything. Could barely save Barbie Land. But I don't know if anyone else has anything to chime in on that. Do you think Barbie could save the Marvels?
Look,
more insufferable women.
Hey, look, you if you want to stuff Barbie in the Marvels, I would watch that. If you want to stuff Barbie in The Witcher or vice versa, I'm good with that.
Fit right in because Disney already made Ken the villain in one of the Toy Story movies. Remember? So.
Yeah, there you go. That would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know whether you stuff Galadriel and Barbie or Barbie and Galadriel, but I'm sure lots of people would enjoy that.
There's a lot of lesbianness going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
now we're demonetized on for good reason.
I'm all I have to say is I'll cut it out. I'll get rid of the scissoring. I'll
a tipping barn for $1.99. This is when we were talking about. I think maybe when Mikey was or we were talking about the bots potentially elevating Disney's stock price prior to their call. Is artificial inflation qualify as fraud?
100%. But the bad part about it is it's almost impossible to prove in court. It's very hard to prove intentional inflation.
Yeah. Well, they time it right as well, right? Like, I mean, again, money trails and stuff. How are you going to get to that? How would it even stand up? How would it get to that court? Yes, it's incredibly unlikely.
And how would you prove intent by the person, even if you trace the money that was their intent? The state has got to prove intent in the court of law, and that's where it gets tricky, and that's why it's hard for any of that thing like that to go through court, and for people to get in trouble for it. Politicians here do it all the time, and they don't ever get in trouble.
I think they probably do it here as well. I'm damn certain they do, to be fair. Black Saber for $5 says, I wonder if they were raising Disney Plus prices so people shift to the free with ad model. Most shows are so bad. Would people want them for free? So I sort of already covered why moving to the ad model is a really short-sighted approach because companies are pulling out of advertising. They have done. I mean, Google has suffered losses on ad revenue consecutively now, quarter on quarter. I think it was down 2%, if I remember rightly, or even 6%, 2 or 6%, one of the two. You might be Disney, but I mean, even on Google, people are pulling out on adverts. So I wonder which company has more weight. I wouldn't say Disney Plus has specifically more weight with an ad model on a Disney Plus service where they have less eyes on their service than YouTube does and Google does. I mean, thoughts on that, guys? I mean, because that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I mean, some of this is one of the other things that they're doing is they're combining Disney Plus and Hulu, which is something we showed a minute ago. And what they're trying to do is move people to that because that bundle will be offered at steep discount for the services. So they're going to push people into one place. That's something that they call that's a soft bundle. Whereas the streaming, I did a video about this the other day, where streaming is kind of all pushing towards a hard bundle. For example, like what you're going to see coming with the combination of Paramount Plus and Showtime. I think Tom has been talking about that, and Andre also. But you're starting to see a shift in how they're going to have to market these things because there's just too many of them, and they've recognized that. And so you're going to get a deep discount if you take both things, which will cost you less than if you had them both separately. And that's some of it. And of course, they're introducing the ad tier to the UK and Europe here coming in September, I think is what he said. So
yeah, something like that. I it's not the way to be successful. I don't think that'll work at all, to be honest.
Streaming services have almost become like cable 2.0. You know, everybody's getting rid of freaking, you know, cable, satellite, all that sort of stuff, moving over to streaming services. But now there's so many people are sitting there looking at them like, God, I got all these different streaming services, like, you know, but money's tight, economy's bad, whatever, you know, which ones do I need to cut back on? Which ones am I not really watching that often? So yeah, if they got everything into one package, from a financial and from a common sense standpoint, I think that's the best route for them to take for sure.
Israel R for $10 says, hello everyone on my favorite podcast. If Apple does eventually own Disney, even if it's just the film making part, what realistic changes or effects will this have for us now and the next 5 years? Immediately, probably no effect. You'll see something similar to what Disney did with Fox. Like, you just won't really notice anything for a little while. But it's those things that you know, were rumored or you thought were in development, they get paused. Again, exactly the same with 20th Century Fox, I would imagine. But yeah, next 5 years, I guess that's dependent on the sort of landscape and the market in general, because that's what they'll be basing it on in terms of how they affect stuff and whether they change any of their sort of tactics on things. We haven't really seen much from Apple, so I don't really know what their content slant is, what they look to sort of push out. I mean, does anyone have an idea of what they do they have an agenda? What is it that they're doing with their sort of content? Do they push anything specific or not?
I've never seen anything on Apple TV. I've never used it, watched anything on it.
They're there and they have a few things, but like they're kind of like a sleeping giant. They've never really pushed to go beyond where they're at right now. But yeah,
they're coming out with that movie, aren't they?
They've had movies, they've had shows. They've had a few things, but like they don't really go out of their way to like spend a shit ton of money to advertise or.
Well, the movie I saw advertised in movie theaters.
Yeah,
I swear it's Tears of the Flower Moon. I think.
Oh, you're talking about the one with the Scorsese one? Yeah, I think it's getting a limited release in the U.S.
Yeah,
release in the probably internationally, but like I don't know who else behind that. Yeah.
In the UK, I mean that's pretty major to be advertised.
Yeah, I mean that's like the biggest thing they've done so far. I mean they've really just kind of stood back, and that's where I'm saying like if they're gonna make a move for a studio, I could see them making a big move like that, because that's going to be them announcing we're getting in this game now.
Yeah,
because right now they're not competition really for anybody.
No, they're not trying to be either. Yeah. That's the thing. Like they could be at any moment in time if they were to have like a show that were to take off like Stranger Things did for Netflix, and they were to get behind it. They could really cause some issues for Netflix and Disney Plus and Amazon as far as like gaining some subscribers probably. And their service is not expensive. I have it. It's like $7.99.
I'd say they're comparable to Amazon Prime.
I don't know what their numbers are. What are their numbers actually, Culture?
Well, I just mean with like what they have content wise. Like I'd say they're comparable with Amazon Prime. They don't have like, you know, they have iTunes, so you can buy stuff just like Amazon Prime. You can buy all of that.
In that respect, yes, absolutely. But like as far as their original content, they've done like a few things here and there. But like, yeah, this Scorsese movie is probably the biggest thing they've ever done that I know of.
They don't. They don't really have a lot of users per se. They estimated that the total number at the end of for Apple TV Plus was around 40 million, but that number really hasn't been updated. They don't care to make that public, and they don't have to. You don't hear very much from them, as Tom suggested, and they really are. I think Tom hit it on the head as usual. They're a sleeping giant as far as content goes. I mean, they could really push the envelope if they wanted to. I just don't know that they've wanted to yet.
Yeah, it's true.
It's primarily there. I think what did Paul say yesterday, Tom, why they do Apple TV?
I don't even remember now, to be honest with you.
I think he said something like they do it so they can sell the hardware, right?
Yeah, I'm sure, and that's what I was saying
just like
too, as far as
Apple TVs.
Right, and that's where I see, like, if they're going to get involved with a studio, why not Disney, who has some of the most coveted entertainment in history? I mean, the only other studio I could see them wanting to get their hands on would be like Warner Brothers or somebody like that. I mean, and I mean, that's a plausibility. We've talked about that, where I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to wonder if Zaslav's whole game here is to just flip Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, that's why I think one of the main reasons why James Gunn is basically not telling us exactly what's happening, because I don't even know if he really fucking knows. To be honest with you, I think they're really getting ready to sell this company, and it could be sold in the next 2 years. So by the time Superman comes out, we have no idea who's going to be running this studio. Like, that's where I'm kind of thinking right now. But I could be wrong, but it's same kind of business with Disney. Disney, on the other hand, like, otherwise, why? It's another point to why would you bring back Bob Iger, is if you're going to facilitate one of the biggest mergers in history between Disney and Apple. I could see that being a thing, because he's always had ties with Apple, like him and Steve Jobs and all that stuff. Yeah, like, so that could be another plausibility as to why he was brought into this whole thing back to the mix.
It's even worse than that. It was very conflict of interest-y too, because Iger was on the board of directors at Apple while Disney and Apple were both developing their streaming services, utilizing much the similar technology, front end, and everything else. And it was only after they were getting ready to launch one of the streaming services, I think it was Disney Plus, that Iger exited. Again, you know, there's a lot of sus going on there, and of course, I mean, there's a long-standing relationship between Disney and Apple, going back to, you know, Pixar and everything else. So it is what it is. So.
Yeah, let's shuffle on to these last three super chats. So Tom Working for $5 says Apple has been spinning wheels with no paradigm shift ideas for a while, not innovators. Apple has done a very good job of repackaging other people's technology and selling it as their own. So I remember FaceTime was a massive thing. People were like, wow, you can video call. Yeah, that was done years before Apple. You know, they're very good at what they do. I mean, again, the iPod, I mean, again, that was done before
Apple.
And
Paul reminded me that they're a very elite company, right? Like you said, they give you the same thing everybody else does, but it's at 10 times the price, and it makes it feel like it's special for whatever reason.
You're buying a status with Apple. You're not buying the actual product itself.
Yeah, the argument for Apple is the design. Always, that's always been its appeal to the artistic, creative types, is because it looks beautiful. So every time they design a device, it's very much a look and feel thing, all the way back to the Apple IIe, the form factor, the way it was designed, all of that. It was form with function. It wasn't function and then form, and that's it. I mean, you do that with anything they've done, from their desktops, their iMacs. All of that is about how does this look pretty and appeal to the creative mind, and that's what it does. It appeals to the creative types, and it's very elite devices. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, that's right. Adam this is Hungarian, isn't it? I think. Hungarian.
Yeah, Florence. Florence.
Okay, 4,000 says, Iger also avoided to face their biggest problem, that is content. They produce content nobody wants, most people hate. Instead, he's busy finding out how to restructure, bundle, or price that. Good luck with that, old crook. Well, yeah, this goes back to what we were saying about Disney Plus. Is it worth it? No. What do they have on there that people are excited about?
It could have been and should have been they should have, and this is what doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, first of all, the lie was that we were going to get everything on Disney Plus. That was a lie. The second thing, the mistake that they made was, if you're not going to do that, then okay, you continue your vault. You don't just, because this is an argument I've made, and I'll stick by it. Once you put Bambi right next to Bambi 2, once you put Little Mermaid right next to Little Mermaid 2 and 3, it no longer makes the Little Mermaid or Bambi worth what they were at one point. Those were, at one point, vaulted films that made a difference for Disney. They were big deals.
Tom there with
Sorry, Sadie. Of course, has to
No,
go
that's
off
great,
as soon as
great.
I start talking. You know,
She was trying to chime in too.
Joining in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go,
I
I
don't
hate
even know what
Disney. I
she's
hate Disney.
barking at.
I love it.
Probably neighbor cat.
Love it. Love it. Right. Let's
But
get to
no,
our...
like, yeah, that's kind of it. Is like they had the model built there where if you would have just made Disney, we talked about this before, like every few months, every basically like they did with the videos and releasing them in theaters, you do that same model, but okay, you just add Disney Plus to that like you used. Disney Plus should have been their Disney Channel 2.0. And I don't understand why they didn't go that route. The only thing you could have made it a little bit more premium is, yes, have like the Little Mermaid come on there for 1 quarter of the year, and that's it. Then you don't see it again for 5, 6, 7 years. That's how they used to make these things worth money.
I completely agree, and that takes us off to our next super chat as well, which is much the same. You know, Disney Plus is not sustainable or economically viable. There's a lack of new content, and with the latest budget cuts, there will be even less. People will start abandoning the platform quite soon, in my opinion. They already are, man. They already are, Martin. 11 million people gone. I mean, they are losing. This is the second quarter in a row they've lost subscribers, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Third.
Is it the third
in a row?
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. They remember
hell.
they lost subscribers in both previous earnings call, millions in each, and both of them were also blamed on Hotstar and the loss of subscribers in India because of like this sticky thing. And meanwhile, there was stagnant to negative growth stateside where it actually matters.
Yeah, and you're seeing it, and you're seeing it worse. So, in that, at the same time they're losing, Netflix just gained a boatload, like millions.
And on top of that, none of their content is getting overwhelmingly positive reviews unless it's little kids, you know, commenting on Bluey, which is their most watched kids, you know, content on there.
It's not good. It is unsustainable. But let's shuffle on to our next topic, which I want Andre's thoughts first and foremost. This is one of your favorite topics. Disney, very comfortable with the current liquidity position as deadline nears to buy the rest of Hulu. That sounds like nonsense to me. But Andre.
It is nonsense. Complete and total nonsense. Because they are not comfortable with their current liquidity position at all. Because here's like the thing. I will grant them that their current liquidity position has improved since the last quarter earnings call. At that time, and I have to credit Mike, the Mexican Iron Man, for coming up with this number again, they had their assets minus liabilities gave them $200 million cash on hand. This time, if you do the similar equation, they have $2 billion cash on hand. So, credit where credit is due, they have actually done a tenfold increase in available cash on hand after all expenses have been paid. However, there is no reason whatsoever to be comfortable because of what you are highlighting on screen right here. Namely, the commitment they have to Comcast to buy out their share of Hulu, which is happening Q1 next year. And as you have highlighted, the floor is about $9.2 billion. That's the floor. That's not the ceiling.
Yeah, well, Comcast CEO. Look at this.
They could easily be in a position where they have to look what it says there. That's taking about a third of the $27.5 billion guaranteed floor value. Yeah, okay, because it can easily be triple that. They can very quickly be in a position where they have to pay more than $20 billion. That's 10 times what they have cash on hand right now. So they're not comfortable with cash on hand because here's the difference. What they have right now, they got that by cutting, by saving. They didn't do anything to earn anymore. And they're going to have to earn a hell of a lot more to be able to pay this. Cultured. Take it away.
No, I want to ask you this question. So I don't think that $2 billion is healthy cash on hand for a company this size with how much money they go through every quarter. Do you think that's a healthy reserve or no?
It's not great. It's not like, for instance, what was completely unacceptable was what they had last time when they had $200 million. I mean, that's kind of like any of us being like, okay, fine. It is now 2.5 weeks till the end of the month, and we have $100 in our checking account. Probably be fine, but let's hope that there's no that we don't that we don't feel like eating one day or something, right? That's kind of where they were. As it is right now, they'll be fine. $2 billion, that's for a company this size, is not super healthy, but it's not a disaster. It should be more than that. So it's on the right course. But what is an existential threat is something, and they don't even know how much they have to raise. They don't know if they have to raise. They know it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 30 billion. It's going to be somewhere between there, and they better plan for the most of it. And you saw like the desperation that was out of the interim CFO when asked about this. Oh, we're going to do like a bunch of loans and credit lines and this and that, and he just listed a bunch of things, which tells me, okay, fine, you're going to have to do all of that.
Last one.
And he even added, and then he didn't say exactly, and then we'll see, but that's exactly what he meant, meaning that they still are working on how the hell they're going to raise that kind of amount. Because you need to keep in mind what they're going to do here. Just by buying Hulu, they're going to have to part with about half the amount that they paid for Fox.
Wow.
They're going to have to pay to pay for double or triple what they paid for Marvel, Star Wars, and Lucasfilm combined. And what do they get for it? They get a full service that they are already the majority owner of. They don't really get anything new they didn't already have.
Yeah, they're not going to suddenly start earning more money as a result of it either, really.
No, they're not really. The only thing is that the earnings that are with Hulu, they no longer have to share them with Comcast. But I mean, they get so screwed in this deal, they'll never be able to earn enough on Hulu to repay what they have to buy out to Comcast, because like this is pure monetary or the on paper value, not real value, I submit. But culture, do you agree and disagree with me on that?
Oh no, I'm with you right there. In fact, I would suggest that based on what we saw in the article that Mr. H was scrolling through, that they may only really have $1 billion in actual unattached cash, but that's an entirely other thing. I'm just worried going forward that there's something we don't know about the Hulu deal that nobody's talked about in a while, and that's this. And this, if I need you to help me with my memory, Andre and Tom. It's that Hulu stopped paying for any content support or anything else at Comcast stopped paying for any of that at Hulu starting in the last quarter of last year. Does that sound familiar?
I don't recall exactly, I guess.
Okay. So my question is, if they're not paying for some of the content being produced for Hulu right now, is that going to be something that Disney can claim as part of their cost of acquiring Hulu?
I think that would be that's a hard sell. I don't know that the Comcast would buy into that. I think that the lawyers would certainly disagree with it.
Okay.
Well,
so I just pulled this up just to piggyback off the same thing. I didn't see this in that article. This is what Kevin Lansbury was talking about in the investors call yesterday, where they're prioritizing their long-term free cash flow growth and have generated $1.6 billion of free cash in the third quarter, and them talking about their credit ratings reflecting that strength, I guess they're saving money because of the writers and actors strike as well. So they're saving on cost, I guess, for the rest of this year moving forward. but I didn't see any of this in there. I didn't know if you guys. It just seems like there's a lot of funny accounting shenanigans going on over there with Disney.
Oh, for sure.
But remember, guys, they're super happy with their liquidity position right now. Super happy. They're fine. This is fine. This is all fine, guys. This is fine. We got this approaching, but we're fine. Yeah. All right. Okay. Sure, buddy. Sure.
The future looks bright. We're moving in the right direction.
Keep telling yourself that.
Just spin, spin, spin.
Jesus. Right. So we do have some more super chats, some super chats to get to. Do you need to disappear now, Andre? Is that coming up?
Yeah, I need
on,
to. I have a couple of more, like 2-3 more minutes.
Okay, well let's get to some of these super chats then. So Accident Seller for 50 Norwegian krona says Tom Working is wrong. Apple's new in-house custom ARM chips, Apple Silicon, is industry leading regarding performance per watt. They're innovators there. Yeah. They do make some good stuff, but I don't think you buy them for. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't think anybody's going, oh, well, let me go get this phone because of this ARM chip.
Yeah. They get it for this. Again, you're still buying the status with Apple. Yeah. They have a brand, cap on price because of that. Like you're buying Apple, not the phone. You're buying an Apple phone. That's why they're so bloody expensive. But yeah, I mean, I guess you are right with the innovation for sure. Tommy Reviews for $5 says Netflix. We will start cracking down on password sharing. Disney, hold my beer. Subs will drop at a new record than before for the mouse company. Yeah, pretty accurate. I mean, Netflix didn't do massively well off that. They backtracked on quite a lot of things as well, didn't they? I'm pretty certain. So I wonder whether Disney will backtrack on a lot as well, because they'll just see more drop-offs. Predictions, Andre, before you leave. What do you reckon? Password sharing for Disney, will they backtrack?
No, I don't.
No.
No. Disney has always had like a pretty anti-piracy, anti-sharing stance. I don't think they're going to back off. You just need to look at their DVDs, their Blu-rays, on any kind of format or any kind of like region lockout system or something is possible to employ. Disney are the ones employing it, even when there is no need to. Like, for instance, their Blu-ray releases are 100% identical in all territories across the world, right? The only difference is subtitles and dubbed languages. And still, they include that region lockout. I mean, I understand that in cases where, for instance, you have a movie that is distributed by one distributor in North America and by another one in the UK and a third one in the rest of Europe, right? In that situation, I understand why you would want to put region lockout, because now it is, if someone imports, that's in direct competition, right? So you want to sell everything to your home market. Disney doesn't have to do that. I mean, there's literally no one competing with them for the same title. If there is one company that doesn't need, like case in point, Warner, same position as Disney, they don't use region lockout on anything. Ditto Universal, no region lockout there. Disney always has it, and there's no reason for it. Just because that's kind of like part of the culture, I don't see them backing off on this, because this is something that's kind of like ingrained, like mine, and it belongs to this territory.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Final super chat before you need to disappear, my dude. John Platt for £2 says, "Hail, Mr. H, and guests, show hosts, and burn Disney, burn rat."
Oh yeah.
I would like to add to that, burn the Iger company, because we say we hate Disney, but that's not actually true. None of us hate Disney. We all love Disney. We all love the legacy of the company and what Disney once meant. It is Iger that has destroyed it. So I would I appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the kind words. Hail one, hail all. But I would submit or altering that to burn the Iger company and restore Disney.
Yeah, I share those sentiments exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, what he's done with Disney, just what an absolute joke. Absolute joke.
Yeah.
You don't have to look at Pixar for starters. Like, Jesus wept. How did you ruin Pixar? Like, of all companies to ruin, for goodness sake.
Oh, that's easy. Fire Lasseter for no real
I know.
reason.
That was their
And
golden
that way-
goose.
And that way you get ruined Disney animation as a pure bonus.
Which is basically Iger undone the only real true good thing he had done since taking over Eisner. And that was because Eisner just could not see eye to eye with Pixar, and they were about to lose Pixar. Bob Iger managed to keep them in-house. But after that, all he's done is spend money.
Yeah.
How funny will that be if Apple gets it and Lasseter's back in the
Well, that's what I
driver's
was
seat?
positing. Yeah. Because that's a positive thing. Because then
Yeah.
you see, that's the beauty of it, Nick, is in this respect, if Apple were to buy Disney, Lasseter would be able to be integrated back into Disney without any bullshit problems of Iger having to go back around, apologizing to him publicly, and hiring back to Disney. All that gets erased now,
Yep.
right? So that's the thing, is everything gets set back to the way it was 10 years ago.
Yep. The 10-year experiment failed.
And on that note, Andre, my dude, I guess we will bid farewell to you now. Do you want to plug anything before you go?
I would say head back to Midnight's Edge. I don't know exactly when, either later tonight or tomorrow, for my full analysis on the Disney stream, and then of course Midnight's Edge in the morning, tomorrow morning. That should be a good time.
Excellent stuff. Well, we love having you here on the HCast, so we'll catch you again hopefully next week. I know you're busy at the moment, but hopefully next week we'll catch you again. So cheers for joining, buddy, and I hope you have a good day or evening now, actually.
Take care. Oh, Tom has something cool to show. He got something else.
Stadium was barking. But I brought this up because Warner Brothers has now discontinued doing special features for their Blu-rays. There's no special
why
features
they have
here.
them? Why would they do what?
I don't know. And also now The Exorcist, when it comes out later this year, will not have any of the special features on disc. They will only be available on digital. I'm about to check and see if that's the same case for this, if all the special features are digital.
Jesus.
Well, thank you, Warner, for alerting me that there's no need to buy the disc. All I need to do right now is wait for a rip of it to magically appear on my computer somehow. I'll ask Surfshark how that happens.
Especially if you already own it. That's the thing, is technically you should be able to do it legally.
Yeah, kind of. In Norway, it's fully legal there. But yeah. All right. All right, everyone.
Peace out, Andre.
Bye,
Andre.
Bye-bye now. Right, well, continuing our epic coverage of Disney. Disney. Let's just quickly take a look at this. Disney US theme parks see post-COVID bounce falter as growth slows and profits dips. That sounds like a loss, doesn't it? If growth slows and profit dips, profit dipping. It's not.
Yeah, this
doesn't sound particularly great, does it? From a company that is, this is the predominant earner for them as a whole. This was what was keeping them afloat.
This is the kindest way to say theme parks suck now too.
Did they mention the rides constantly breaking down there and people showing up and not being able to ride what they want to ride?
So what Disney World saw operating income dip in June. Domestic parks and experiences saw profits fall 13% to 1.4 billion. That's quite a big drop off. A fall of 13% that's quite big.
I mean, if you look at the headline and then you read that, those two things make sense.
Yeah, well, they're like Disneyland profit was up modestly. The company said in the latest earnings.
You know why? They were closed the bulk of last year. Quarter
this is true. Yeah.
They had lower attendance. They artificially created attendance when they were. It's just like I'm like going, wait a minute, is modestly up? That's because you let more people come in. I mean,
they're like, check their excuses out. The company cited they cited their own higher costs due to inflation and the planned closure of Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser as well as a dip in attendance at Walt Disney World. At Disneyland, higher attendance. What? This doesn't make any sense. So Disneyland profit was up, but the reason is because of higher costs due to inflation,
Meaning they didn't have as many people per
and
se,
because we
but
closed Galactic Star Cruiser. That's why it was
Well, no,
up.
Galactic Star Cruiser is at Walt Disney World. I think that first sentence is aligned to Florida,
Oh my
and I think the
God.
second sentence is aligned to California.
As well
Yeah.
as the dip in attendance at
Yeah.
Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
At
Does it make more-
Disneyland, yeah.
higher
you're
attendance
right
because
there.
they let more people in. No shit. And guest spending.
yeah, that's like
because
if
they let more people in.
you just
Via
opened a
higher
restaurant and
ticket
be like,
prices.
yeah, we've had a record year of sales this year. It's like, you only been open 1 year, dumb shit.
Exactly. Like I said, you read those sentences after reading the headline, you're like, what?
Yeah. Well, that again, we wonder why they're caught in China a lot and stuff like that. But international parks took up some of the slack. So Shanghai, Hong Kong.
Again, you know why?
But that's what, yeah.
Because they let people back in.
But what I mean is, I think this goes some way to explain why Disney is so happy to appease China so much.
Maybe.
Right? If you're looking at it from this perspective, their biggest earner is, of course, their parks. Generally speaking, that is actually what keeps their company afloat. Certainly not their studio. And, what better way to if you're losing side on your home turf is to try and pick up that slack elsewhere, which is what they have done. Shanghai and Hong Kong. So now the form has been open for the entire 3 months versus only 3 days in the previous year course. I'm glad they actually bloody said that. Dear oh dear. But they don't list anything. So what are you guys on about with the rides and the lines and stuff? Give everyone a bit of backstory on that, because you said that they're not doing very well.
Okay, so what I've noticed, and again, just obviously because of people in our sphere, and also because I just had some people I know, just there. I mean, literally just flew home today, telling me that for the majority of the day, the major, what do you call them, headliner attractions, right? A lot of the D&E ticket stuff, especially at Magic Kingdom, were closed from the time the park opened until they were significant. They'd been open for a while. Like the Haunted Mansion, I guess, was like down for an entire day on a refurb that was unannounced. They were down at park open 1 day for an hour and a half, 2 hours before. I mean, again, you're talking about attractions that they're in high demand. People are going to want to be on. It's the same thing that they're doing. They used to do something called phased openings of attractions. This is the return to that, where they're trying to do cost savings on staffing and everything else, and making it more difficult on patrons. Then, as Nick mentioned, you have attractions breaking down all the time. Like Nick's favorite attraction, Rise of the Resistance, which is
my
Star
favorite
Wars attraction. Yeah. You want to tell everybody what happens there?
It constantly breaks. People will literally be on the so when you go to the park and you are wanting to ride a ride, you're put in a queue, and so they'll let you know when it's your time to go get in line to actually ride the ride. So people will go to the park, get in the queue, if they can even get in the queue in the first place, and then right before it's their time, they'll get an alert on their phone. Sorry, ride shut down for maintenance. And you hear these stories all the time about people going to Disney to experience all this stuff, and they'll be like, we were here for 1 or 2 whole days. I didn't get to ride this. I didn't get to ride that. This wasn't working. That wasn't working. So even though and that might, be part of the reason why the crowds are a lot less. Maybe people are getting tired of going there and not being able to ride the stuff that they want. It's also very expensive to eat there, to buy stuff in there. Everything is extremely overpriced. But yeah, the ride thing, that's a constant issue for people that go.
Yeah, I mean, Disney, theme parks aren't really that good without the themed park element of it all, to be fair.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. That's not
I'd
good,
much
is
rather
it?
go to Six Flags.
And that virtual queue exactly. And that virtual queue that Nick's talking about, I mean, it'll reset you in a position. later in the day and say, okay, we'll check back later. We'll let you know when when update. So you'll go back looking at the virtual queue. Fortunately, if you keep your phone on all day.
So let me get this straight. So you go to the theme park.
Yeah.
You take a virtual place in a line to then get told your time is come to then queue up in a physical line.
Yeah.
To then go on a ride.
Yeah, to go ride the ride.
So there's two waits.
It honestly makes absolutely no fucking sense to me either, Nate.
Well, a lot
you wait in line to wait in line.
Yeah.
It's like a trailer for a trailer. I don't understand it. It's the dumbest shit in the world.
So the whole reason that they started doing this is because they were trying to cut down on long lines, so you didn't have to go wait 3 or 4 hours to ride a ride. You could go do other stuff, and then when it was your time to go, but that whole thing kind of ended up backfiring, especially with rides constantly breaking down, because you got all these people in this queue in the whole park, and either they end up getting booted and pushed out even longer, or the ride breaks down. It's always seems to be some sort of issue. My sister was there earlier this year, like spring, I think, and she was talking about it, how it was a complete disaster over there.
It's really troubling. Again, I've been through that same experience, but seriously, the virtual queue is supposed to make the physical queue shorter.
Yes,
so you're not standing in the sun, because they really poorly designed Florida badly. So the Florida queue badly. You're in the sun all the day. But regardless, it's supposed to do that and allow you to go experience other attractions and so on and so forth. But regardless, the attraction it's for, it goes down all the time. And to be fair, it's the most complicated theme park attraction ever built, because it's basically 3 rides in one.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a very unique attraction. But
safely say I've never been to Disney, so
me neither.
Neither have I.
I'm good. I'm very, very good.
Yeah.
Well, let's shuffle on now to the most epic statement of the century from Bob Iger, and it truly is. I mean, this is awe-inspiring stuff. This will just shake you to the very core, and it will really make sense as to why the stock price is up. Breaking news: Disney CEO Bob Iger says he's going to do his job
now.
Well, apparently he wasn't doing this already. Personally focused on improving the quality of the company's films. Apparently, he wasn't doing this. Now he's going to be.
Yay!
Fucking
Bob.
This stuff annoys the absolute piss out of me. It's the same as in the UK. I did a video about it today, and I'll say exactly what I said in my video today. In the UK, the police recently announced we're going to actually investigate all burglaries. You weren't. Do you want a pat on the back for that?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's the same with this. Oh, he's now going to, improve the quality of the company. You mean you weren't? What the fuck? Like, what are you doing? Surely you should be doing this. Like, for goodness sake. And here's what he says. And this, again, like I covered it earlier, right? Is that he takes credit for a film which wasn't even his, that he inherited. So he says, regarding our studio performance, let's put things in perspective a little bit. The studio has had a tremendous run over the last decade. It has. Perhaps the greatest run that any studio has ever had. Maybe, maybe not. With multiple billion-dollar hits. Yes. And including, by the way, 2 that were relatively recent. One in particular, Avatar: The Way of Water. Mate, you inherited that film. That film was put in the pipeline years ago. Don't take credit for that. How can you take credit for that? You inherited it. You didn't set up the financing deals. It wasn't anything to do with you. Literally nothing to do with him remotely. And we also had a pretty strong performance with Guardians of the Galaxy, which has done, I think, approximately under 850 million at the global box office. Yeah, barely scraped a profit. That said, this staggering moment, everyone, you're going to blow your mind. The performance of some of our recent films has definitely been disappointing, and we don't take that lightly. As you'd expect, we're very focused on improving the quality and the performance of the films that we've got coming up. It's something that I'm working closely with the studio heads on. I'm personally committed to spending more time and attention on that as well. Do you
It's
want a round of applause? Like,
it's
what?
it's funny that he says this because he said the same thing after the disaster with Star Wars when he came out and was like, you know what, guys, the buck stops with me, and nothing changed. We got Book of Boba Fett. We got freaking Mando season 3 with Lizzo and Jack Black in it. So if he is doing anything, he's not helping the situation. He's just it's same old, or worse.
It's just. I can't, honestly. It makes me laugh. Like, I'm speechless. Why are you announcing this? Like, this is a good thing, Bob. Come on. This, like, is that all you've got? That they're really scraping the barrel of trying to come up with, positive things to say during their call, aren't they? Well, I'm personally committed. I'm going to make some effort now. Why weren't you? Address why address why they're terrible. Address why your box office returns aren't good. Don't just be like, well, I'm going to try now. Why weren't you? Like, what are you doing? Jesus. Tom, do you want to chime in on this one, bud?
I mean, like, you guys have kind of hit it on the head. I mean, in a way, he is kind of saying he hasn't been doing his job to this point, I guess, in so many words. There's one way of putting it. I mean, if you're saying, like, we're going to, double our efforts, we're going to try harder in these departments than we have already, we're going to improve this, we're going to improve that. That at least implies that you've been trying to do things in certain ways. I get what you're saying. I mean, I'm not going to read too much into it and say that they haven't tried. And Lord knows they have tried, but the results have been lackluster at best, basically.
And Nick made my point very eloquently. Dude promised to fix Star Wars and fuck all with Star Wars. So I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, they've done even worse, haven't they? Because now they're like, oh, we've actually got to pull back even more on stuff. Because remember, like, it was 2019 when the last Star Wars film came out or something like that. They're like, yeah, we need to pull back and stop. They've said that again. So they already pulled back, right? Remember, they said, yeah, we're gonna sort of stop making as much content in the world of Star Wars and stuff. They said that recently. Yeah, we need to stop making as many. We need to really pull back, not as many unnecessary sequels and things like this.
He said that after Rise of Skywalker, or Palpatine, or Soy Walker, whatever you want to refer to it as.
Soybeans is still my favorite, but I hear you.
Yeah. He said that after that because they had a plan to have a theatrical Star Wars release every year moving forward after the disaster of Solo, and then after the disaster of the last film, where fans completely rejected it for the most part. He said that they were backing out from that as well. Now Marvel's getting bad, and he's going back to that same statement.
Same rhetoric. We
Yeah,
need to pull back from it.
And as far as if he's starting to take notice and trying to make sure that it's quality content, he sucks at his job, because he is allowing the acolyte to happen. And he has talked positively about it because he said he's seen stuff on it. So if you are doing your job, Bob, you absolutely suck at it. Because if you were good at your job, you'd be like, F this whole show, and Batgirl the whole thing, and then get rid of everybody in this freaking story group and rebuild Star Wars from the ground up. But that'll never happen.
God, what a travesty. What an absolute travesty. We got 2 super chats to get to before we move on to our next epic topic. You guys are going to love this one. So Tommy Reviews for $5 says, also, hail fellas, Mr. H, you should watch Robert Englund's doc. I bought it after Tom recommended a watch. It truly is a 10 out of 5 doc. What is this, Tom?
Oh, it's Hollywood Nightmares, I believe it's called, or something like that. It's a Robert Englund documentary that just came out.
Okay.
And in fact, it's really entertaining, and you really get some really cool insights. In fact, you learned it's where I learned that he actually was one of the people up for the part of Han Solo until Harrison Ford got brought into the mix, because initially they had thought that George was thinking that Han would be more of a contemporary to Luke and Leia instead of an older, brother type. Yeah, so he was talking about that, but on his way out of one of the sessions, he grabbed the sides for Luke Skywalker, and of course his roommate at the time was Mark Hamill, so he threw him the sides and he goes, "Here, you should go try out for this. You'd be perfect for the part." Well, one of Robert Englund's friends is William Catt. So then you cut to William Catt and he's like, "I was this fucking close to being Luke Skywalker. Thanks a lot, Robert." So it's a really great documentary about, Robert's whole career. And it doesn't even really focus as much on Freddy as you would think. Like his two biggest roles in V and Freddy, they don't really dwell too much on that. It's more about all the other stuff and the influence that he has on other actors and how much he just loves being an actor. And it's just a great documentary. I recommend it. It's like, I think it's on, was it Screambox or something like that? It's called one of the streaming services as well as on video now. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think we get that here, but I'll try and take a look at it for it. Kevin Dorr for $5 says Apple Plus, really good series. Blackbird, Ted Lasso, For All Mankind, Silo, Slow Horses, Severance, The Morning Show, The Star denotes great shows. Oh, okay. There you go. There's some hot picks from Kevin Dorr there.
I heard good things about Silo, but
yeah,
I've never watched anything on there.
Interesting things about it.
Me too. Interesting is the right adjective, I think.
Yeah.
I've also heard good things about Ted Lasso, but I think the reason most people like the morning show is because it's got Jennifer Aniston. So I think that's probably.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Wartooth 88 for $2 says, any update on Jonathan Majors? No, not yet. There is still some stuff ongoing, like a back and forth business, but I don't take any notice of it now until it goes to court. I did exactly the same thing with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Covered it a few years before the court date, and then the court date came, and then we covered it intensively. It'll be exactly the same thing with this. You kind of got to lay the framework for it. The sort of initial he said, she said, and then wait. I think it's prudent to wait. Other people can do what they like. That's how I do it anyway. Yep.
That's a good idea. Also, at the same time, the date got pushed again because the lady that had made the claims originally been interviewed, and the person that she allegedly assaulted, and I'm saying that, as you're supposed to, they can't believe that she fled. Yeah, and so it's been postponed. So
she took a Disney cruise, I heard.
And that's quite possible.
It'd be easy to find them, wouldn't she?
There's a context to that. I'm not going to say anymore.
So somebody might have taken her to the train station. Tom probably gets that reference.
That's the same exact reference, Nick. Exactly.
Yeah.
After a visit to a fine Italian restaurant. No, but honestly, it's very strange because he was out and about with his new girlfriend. I forget her name, something good or whatever, a couple days ago for his birthday, and the paparazzi were following him around, harassing him. So that's as much information as I have. So there you are.
All right. Well, let's shuffle on to hold on. Thank you all so much for watching. We've got 657 people here. Awesome. Watching this stream. So thank you one and all for joining live for your favorite podcast. We do this twice a week, Tuesday and Thursdays. I can't thank you all enough. Please do smash that thumbs up button. It's not for me. The video gets unlisted the moment we close out the podcast. It's hopefully for you guys to be notified. YouTube plays silly buggers all the time. Now I think we've done this regularly enough. A lot of you guys just know when we're doing it, and you make it, sort of your mission to keep coming back, as it were. But please do hit that thumbs up button just to hopefully encourage YouTube to, maybe if they feel like it, send a notification. And thank you to everyone sending in the super chats. This podcast is quite literally funded by you guys, for you guys. We always get demonetized, so it's it is fan funded, as it were. So thank you all so much. You can literally super chat about anything you want, and we'll cover it. We'll talk about it. More often than not, they do get turned into their own video on the second channel. I literally just released one about gaming versus Hollywood on the second channel. So got to say that every now and then when we're here. doing this stream, and we've got a load of you in watching. Thank you all so much. But now we will shuffle on to doozy. It's a doozy. I mean, I'm surprised Disney's stock hasn't plummeted as a result of this. And you know what? It might. But basically, Disney Style has partnered with a bloke to market girls' clothing. And the quote is, "Minnie is me." And this is the individual, as you can see down here. Just good old TikTok. They love to be on TikTok, don't they, these people? Look at this. Minnie Mouse. I don't want to play too much of this. Anyway, let's have a look. What's going on? The Walt Disney Company TikTok influencer Sean, with blokish name, Altman, a man who identifies as nothing, has joined forces to market girls' attire on social media in the latest move showing Disney's solidarity with the alphabeti spaghetti community. So the promotional TikTok video posted for Disney Style, a division of the Walt Disney Company that promotes its clothing and accessories and offers style inspiration to fans, features Altman. That's funny. His name, Altman.
Yeah.
That's funny, isn't it? Anyway, dressed in a Minnie Mouse style getup, complete with a red dress with a Mickey Mouse pattern, a white collar, black tights, a white petticoat, and yellow heels. Minnie is me, Altman says. I fit right in with Mickey and his friends at Disney Style. To top off the look, Altman added in a belt with white lacy gloves and a watch before putting on red lipstick and styling his hair in dual buns on either side of his head to channel the iconic Minnie Mouse ears look. I look just like Minnie Mouse, Altman stated, but something's missing. And then he added a big red bow. Yeah, I mean, this is a paid partnership. It literally, the post includes a.
It looks like a young John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
I mean, look.
You know what's funny about
with the
this
Arnold
whole thing,
Schwarzenegger face?
Well, that's why I just thought.
Well,
I didn't really
Disney-
realize how much John Leguizamo looked like him until now.
Disney Style even shared this on their own TikTok account, saying a mini moment with the heart's hands emoji. And anyway, Fox News Digital reached out to Disney and Altman to see what's going on, but yeah, they didn't respond. I mean, what is going on? How's their stock price so high?
This
Well,
is
we're
what's
gonna-
hilarious.
They're Dylan Mulvaney, in it. Like, what's going on?
Basically, but I don't know if it's going to hurt Disney like it did the Bud Light situation, because look, the weird thing about this, I'm not going to comment too much on the other side of it, because look, we've talked about this crap to death. I'm not surprised by this. Are you fucking surprised by this? If anybody, yeah, exactly. Nobody's surprised by this. This is just another day that ends in Y for Disney. What I find ironic is we've been recently just talking about how the fact that Mickey is going to be going into public domain next year, and probably Minnie too, I would imagine, because she was created around the same exact time.
What's a derivative of
this
it
is the
well,
kind of thing
so
that companies used to have to worry about happening to their products before they were in the public domain. Now this is Disney, actually, as far as I know, this is officially Disney licensed crap that this person's advertising, and this is probably, like you said, some sort of, Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney type situation. I would not be surprised in the least. Now, advertising this stuff for women, I can totally understand. Advertising it in this way with a product that's supposed to be for family entertainment, I just don't understand. I get it. It's not overtly sexual at all, but frankly, there's still a large part of America that does not want to have to sit down and have that conversation with a 4-year-old as to why somebody is a man.
Why
in
a
a
bloke?
dress.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Is dressing in the clothes that they want to wear and buy. Like, basically, that's what it is, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, hey, little Jenny, you want that outfit that bloke is wearing? Okay, then. Like, fucking hell.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that is literally the conversation.
Look at the side of those fucking shoes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And
yeah, fuck it out. Look at them.
I think everybody's I think everybody's seen the Ron DeSantis video on this about the word that rhymes with rooming.
Yeah.
And just like Tom said, yeah, are we surprised at Disney at this point?
Yeah.
But this is the kind of thing that keeps pushing more and more everyday people that aren't clued in on YouTube and all this kind of stuff to pull back from supporting anything that they do. You know,
Yeah.
it's more of a slow decline than the Bud Light situation that just freaking came down crashing.
Yeah. But this is why I can't. Yeah, I don't know. As Mikey said in his statement, like, how is their stock price still this high? Like, how? It must be manipulation. It has to be. You know, stuff like this happening all the time with Disney. There's high profile stuff all the time because there was like that boutique bloke in a dress as
Bibbidi
well, wasn't
Bobbidi,
there?
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, and he was the fairy godmother's apprentice.
Mm. Yeah, so this happens all the time, and it's widely. It must be playing silly buggers with it because I don't know, or maybe, yeah, I don't know what to say. To be fair, I just can't fathom that. You know, Dylan Mulvaney can bring down one company, but all of these instances can't negatively impact, you know, another. If that makes sense, it just doesn't make sense to me. Oh dear, what a joke! What an absolute joke!
Living in a clown world, Nate. Clown world.
Oh, massively. Here you go.
There it is.
There it is.
Jasper jet setting off. It was his
Get
birthday
out of here,
yesterday.
Jasper. Happy
Yeah,
birthday, Jasper.
did you? I didn't see or notice. Did you get a video of him with his steak?
No, so
Um,
yesterday was garbage.
Oh.
I mean, it was good for him. I made sure he had a nice day. So it got a bit too hot, so I couldn't take him out on a long walk
Oh.
because it got to like 25 degrees, which I go by my dog walkers. Like I've got dog walkers if I'm out and about and stuff, and they say we're not insured to walk your dog in more than 24 degrees heat. He's very, 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 very fluffy, and he has to pause and sit down and rest and pant and stuff. So it's not nice for him to be out and about when it's too hot. So I don't walk him when it's like 24, 25 degrees. So we couldn't really go out. And then, and so he had a special breakfast. I took him out for a little bit as well in the daytime. And then I had loads of problems with my Datsun, my 510. Just an ongoing saga of shite. So I ordered aluminium billet hubs from the States. So bloody expensive. They arrive. I'm so excited. I pay massive import fees and they don't fit.
No.
Man.
And I've ordered the right thing. They're the right thing, but they're going on something which was mislabeled on the website. So I ordered for my Datsun 510 Ultimate race coilovers, strut coilovers, basically. And it says that they're for Stanza 180B 610 struts.
Right.
Now what they and they list, they're like, yeah, we'll bolt up to 510, we'll bolt up to 1600, bolt up to this, bolt up to that. And they'll go, if you're going to bolt it to this, you need to do this. If you're going to bolt it, you need to do this. No mention of the fact that if you bolt them to a 510, you need special bloody hubs for them because they literally supplied the one singular year of Stanza 610 struts that had a big fat spindle. So the diameter, the inner diameter of the hubs, so the bearings and the races don't fit because they failed to list it. They listed everything else, and it's in the drop-down menu when you search by model. So you search by model for 510, they turn up. Why the fuck didn't they tell you? I'm so angry. I can't return them. They are literally from Australia, so I can't return them. They're the other side of the planet.
Can you sell them?
Anyway.
Can you sell them to somebody there in your area?
There's 6 510s in the UK.
Oh wow!
And I own one of them, so no.
So you basically got some giant paperweights.
So I racked my brains for ages trying to figure out what was going on, and so this is why I didn't do a stream because I was really, really stressed. And obviously, to be on a stream, you'll be happy, and you got to, there's no point being miserable on a stream. So then I racked my brains on how to do it. And basically, I popped down to an engineering shop today, It's not like the States. In the UK, most engineering places, they don't want to do work. They have contracts, so they do contracts. They don't want to do walk-in jobs. They're not interested. So it took me ages to find this engineering place. I used them before for something. So I drove down there today and was like, look, here's the old hub. Here's the new hub. Is there enough material? Do you think is there enough material to grind these down? So the inner diameter of these aluminium, which they're amazing hubs. They're so nice. I don't want to damage them, but I have to. Is there enough material to grind this down on the inner diameter to be able to fit, to be identical to this hub, basically? And will it be structurally sound? And they were like, we can't guarantee the structure. Obviously, we're not, wouldn't want to say that as a guarantee, but yeah, basically. And yeah, there looks to be enough material. So it's now at a bloody machine shop. So I've got to spend more money. Good times.
So they're going to bore it out larger then.
They're going to bore the 510 hubs out to fit the 610 special year fat spindle.
Fun.
Oh, mate. Absolute pain in the ass. Like the biggest pile of bollocks ever. Cars, ladies and gents, don't buy a classic car. No, buy a classic car. They're cool. If anyone wants to know what I'm on about, obviously I'm a big fan of Datsuns. This is an old picture of my Datsun. This is my Datsun 510. Doesn't have these wheels anymore. I've got them, but they're not on the car anymore. So this is my Datsun 510. And I'm just going through the process of changing it up here and there. So if you didn't know, obviously I am, a fan of Datsuns. Datsun 510 is my favorite vehicle. It's my dream car. And I slowly hate my dream car now as a result of everything that's going on.
Datsun, we got Datsun here. See, nobody cares.
I know. So
it's Nissan now. Nissan.
Yeah.
I just thought you picked that up on the side of the road. No, I know better.
that son of a bitch is what I keep thinking now when I look at my car. So anyway, pain in the ass is what is happening. So that's why I didn't do. So for that, that's why I didn't do the Jasper stream. But Jasper did get a 64-day matured ribeye steak cooked up specially for him. So I cooked that up, seared it on both sides. It was blue in the middle. So, cooked and then blue. I think that's a good way to do it for a dog. Personally, there's enough blood there, cooked enough. It's not super cold or anything, and obviously heat dissipates germs. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so Jasper had a really good day. My dog had a really good day, and he's 5, and love him, and he's a good dude. So, do
you ever feed him boiled beef and rice if he's sick?
No. So he rarely gets sick, actually. He's not really motivated by food, so he doesn't eat a lot of other random stuff. He has very specific food, and I just feed him very specific bits and pieces. I don't let, like, if I have people come to my house and they're like, "Oh, I'm eating this. Oh, could I get?" No, you can't give my dog your fucking human food. No. Like, no, I've been in my toilet after you, mate. No, I don't want my dog to suffer. No, like, get your food away from my dog. So I'm pretty particular about what he eats because I want him to be nice and healthy and go on for as many years as possible. So anyway, let's get to some of these super chats. Sorry about that long-winded nonsense there for anyone that cares. I actually have a car channel for anyone that does care. It should be linked in the description box right now, I believe. No, it's not. I don't even have it in the. Oh no, I do. Yeah, subscribe to my second channel. There you go, in the description box. If you want to step to that, my car stuff, my car nonsense, you can subscribe to the channel Car Nonsense. There you go. Anyway, not a fish stick. Brilliant. Says for $4.99, it's because they want you to walk around and spend money while you wait. This is obviously referencing Disney parks.
Yeah, that's the virtual queue. Yep.
Yeah, I can believe that. I mean, what an absolutely pathetic. Is this pretty normal for other theme parks to do the same thing? Is this a
no? Most other ones have what's called Fast Pass, where there's a separate line that you pay extra to wait in a shorter line.
That's
yes.
that actually was renamed to Lightning Lane at Disney recently. But yeah, that's you're 100% right there, Nick. And then if you want to just like buy front access to the front of the line passes, you can at Universal. And those work out really well. Those are actually worth the money. Whereas what Disney's trying to sell you is garbage tier.
Right. Okay, yeah. It's completely new to me, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Well, if you ever come to the States, when you come back,
if I ever come to, man, I used to live in the States and work in the States.
God damn. Calm down, calm down, Mr. H. No,
I'll come there just to slap you around, boy.
Okay, well, I tell you what, meet me in
that
Orlando.
would be funny. Can I pay to see that, please?
Yeah.
You can.
Meet me in Orlando, and I'll put us all up in a place, and we'll go and hang out. Yeah,
we could do HCast live
in this corner.
We should do that.
Wearing a weave, coming in at about 140 pounds. It's Culture Casino.
I'm actually 185 right now, but yeah.
And the challenger, weighing in a hell of a lot more than the other guy.
I know. This dude weighs like 230 probably. He's like,
he's like a Hulk, kids.
He is a Hulk.
I'm game to try and do HCast live one day. That'd be cool. I'll be game for that. That'd be great.
This is David versus Goliath here.
Mecha J for $2 says, "Have you guys seen Bill Maher's review of Barbie? I have not.
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
I actually have a video coming out about it tomorrow. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It added more fuel to the fire on the debate on is this woke or not.
It did. It was he's like, hey, I've got this can of lighter fluid, and there's a fire right there.
I cannot stand Bill Maher. I disagree with him 90% of the time, but every once in a while he will say something where I'm like, okay, dude, you get that. Why do you have such bad takes every other thing that you talk about? But yeah, I heard he had a good take on the.
What is that? Broken clocks, right?
Actually,
he's been doing better.
The last year or so, he's had some. Pretty much, he had a really stupid take after the whole Stan Lee business, and then he come around and he's had some really good takes ever since then. But like he said about Barbie, basically, it is man hating. And it creates this false, what was the terminology he used? A zombie lie. It creates a zombie lie of this feminist agenda, basically, in so many words, and how it's preachy and all the stuff that we kind of said about the film. And what's hilarious is it's coming from the other side, because that's what's important to remember about Bill. But most people see him as more of a centrist anymore, just because of a lot of his views have leaned more towards what some would consider conservative, but he just calls common sense, right? Because he's one of those that's kind of like with us, where he's like, common sense is just kind of left. And as Script Doctor likes to call it, it's now super sense, since it's not common,
I thought that was good. We got a super chat from Paulie, Latino Slat. Nice to have you on, dude. Although you're probably gone now, to be fair, but nice to have you on. For $5 says Paul La Corsa. Butchering that. Great job, Nate and panel. Smash the like, people, and happy birthday, Jasper. Yeah, I saw your tweet comment on my Twitter yesterday. Thanks, man. Nice to have you in, dude. Hope you're well. Donna, just load this up. Donna Hergenrether for $9.99 says #cancel Disney Plus. Here's a little something to show how much I enjoy your shows. Hi, panel. As always, heart. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone doing the super chats. Honestly, it goes a long way, and so glad that there's so many of you watching and enjoying your favorite podcast. We do have a brand new member. So along with super chats, if you want to become a member, that also helps out, and you get a monthly free super chat. So 1864 Kev became a member. Thank you so much, my dude. Really do appreciate that. And then we got another super chat here, $10 from ActionCom. It says the fastest system was designed by Disney engineers to help mitigate congestion, but then Disney marketing put their hands on it and converted it to generate revenue. That was the downfall.
You know what this reminds me of? This is like the roundabouts.
Exactly.
Like
yes.
they keep putting them everywhere, and I'm like, who thought these were a good fucking idea?
Yeah. Well,
Don't you guys have a lot of
down now.
roundabouts there in the UK?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if you want to, oh mate, you let me just get this out. You'll love this. You talk about roundabouts.
I
right?
fucking hate them. Fucking hate them.
Nah, you ain't seen nothing yet, mate. You ain't seen nothing yet. You want to talk about roundabouts? You're
gonna show me something that's probably about like it's outside of the Dells here.
Honestly, it's like they were just smoking crack when they made it.
Well, I swear there was like some what was that Simpsons episode of the monorail? There's been like a monorail salesman going around selling roundabouts or something. I swear,
mate, you ain't seen nothing yet. You want to see the worst roundabout system in all of the UK? The magic roundabout.
What the?
Yep. That reminds me of some
That's
shit over
real?
by the Dells. Yeah,
that is real. That is
Wow.
about, I don't know, like an hour from me in a place called Swindon. This is the magic roundabout, and it is a roundabout of multiple roundabouts.
right. Now, isn't there one over by Big Ben as well that they make fun of in National Lampoon's European Vacation because they get stuck in it?
Oh, mate, I have no idea. That I just
Just looking at it, I don't even know where.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. It's really I've been on this a few times, and it is just it is dubbed one of the worst roundabouts in the roundabout systems in the UK. I think there's like the top 3 or something like that, and this is one of the worst. It's just it's outrageous. It's
Looks
unbelievable.
Like
you take life. You literally take life into your own hands going through this, because it's just they're coming at you from all angles. It's a nightmare. It's a joke. It is an absolute joke. So there you go, roundabouts. Yeah, we do like our roundabouts. So much so, we put like 10 roundabouts on another roundabout.
I would love to see a video of Tom driving over in the UK.
Oh, that'd be
I
epic.
bitch every time I got to go through roundabouts. It's
and then add to the complexity what Mephisto said in the chat. You drive on the wrong side of the road. So now so if American goes over there, everybody dies.
That's it. Oh dear. Right, so we're going to shuffle on to our next topic now. One which I know one or two of you will like. I think it's probably just you, Nick, to be fair, if my memory serves. But the director of Prey, the latest Predator movie, is discussing possible sequel plans and whether it would be released theatrically. Now, just as a quick, roundabout from everyone, what's everyone's thoughts on Prey? I quite liked it, to be honest. I've watched it a few times now.
I liked it.
I really like it. I think it holds up quite well.
I didn't love it, but I did like it.
Honestly, I'd say watch it again, because I think it gets better on second viewing.
Yeah, I'll have to. I think for me, going away from the original Predator design in the weapons, like, maybe if he just was closer to the original Predator, where he just had
with a face kind of thing,
the gauntlet, the face and just the shoulder cannon, or maybe even drop the shoulder cannon and just give him the spear from Predator 2 and the claws, the blades on his arm. I would have been fine with that, but keep the same design. That's what pulled me out a little bit. Other than that, I thought it was a fairly decent Predator movie.
I really liked how brutal he was.
He was very,
Just fucking get that spear, just hacking people to pieces, just ripping their art. Yeah, that was epic.
It's almost like Solo for me, like the clips that I've seen online where people deep faked young Harrison Ford on it. I would watch that and be like, oh, okay, I actually like this. I could watch this film right here. It's not as bad as that, but it's sort of the same concept.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Culture, what did you think of Prey?
It could have made it to the theaters. Aside from that, I thought they overblew a lot of things and pushed a lot of people away from a film that was actually not terrible.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Tom, I distinctly remember you being negative on this, if I remember rightly. What do you think of Prey? Tom's dead, everyone.
I never saw it.
He's crossed the roundabout. He's dead.
I went around the roundabout and I'm stuck in the roundabout.
I'd recommend you watch it, honestly.
I know everybody keeps telling me that.
It's worth a watch.
My whole thing is I and I'm sure this is addressed in the movie somehow, so I'm not going to say it's not.
Mm.
I have a hard time getting my head around the predator going
Oh,
after a
losing to a
primitive.
girl.
No. The girl part's not a problem. It's the primitive tribe aspect. Like that to me, it's like the predator being a bully. Because that's one thing the predator has never been, is like a bully, in a sense that they always
So
put themselves up against what they consider
yeah, yeah.
comparable
So
prey, or whatever is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, they have the honor code. So you're actually right. That is actually addressed in the movie. So I that shouldn't put you off too
And
much. to be
same
fair,
thing
mate.
with like if the predator's looking that different and it's only been a few hundred years, it's not like humans look all that different. Why would they have evolved that much? Like I don't know if
So
that's addressed as well, but like yeah.
no, it's addressed from the concept artist. They say he's from a different hemisphere of the
Yeah.
planet. So it does actually make sense when you're looking at it from that perspective. Different hemispheres, basically a different race. It's a different ethnicity of predator, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a ape predator instead of a gorilla predator.
Yeah, precisely. And it takes a lot. That concept takes a lot from the AVP2 game, where you had different variations of the predator design. You had like heavy predator, light jungle predator, all these kind of things, and they were different. They were visually, they looked different. They had different head crests and stuff like that. So it actually is an adaptation of a previously established expansion to the lore, albeit obviously done in a different fashion, but it is that way. But basically, they've come out and sort of discussed some elements of potentially a sequel. And I think this is quite promising, So obviously the end credits of the film pointed to the tribe going to war with an entire army of predators. It is literally shown in cave drawings. So that is what happens basically. And then by at some point in time, obviously that the pistol, Raphael Adolini's pistol, would make its way back into the Predators to then get passed down in Predator 2 from the Predator there. But he said this: I can't really say anything about that right now. But I will say, while we were finishing the movie, we were having really exciting conversations. The studio, myself, the writer, and the producers about what crazy things could we do next. And I've never stopped. No one stopped thinking about how cool things could be going forward. So he said basically, it was asked outright, is there a chance for a Prey 2? And would it be a theatrical release? And he was like, look, no comment. I answered the question, somewhat answered part of the question, got to allow me that. I think that would be very, very stupid to not do a sequel to this film. It did very, very well. And I think because it was popped onto Hulu and then obviously the other parts of the streaming platform, I'm pretty certain it's already, because I did a breakdown for Hellraiser, it's already cleared financially. It's already made money, basically, due to how these sort of companies purchase things and cross-pollinate cash to recuperate budgets. It technically would have already made money. So thoughts, Nick? Would you watch another one? What do you reckon? Do you reckon they're going to make it? What do you think?
I can totally see him making it, because before it came out, Prey was getting trashed on. And I can completely understand why Tom has not seen it and has had no interest to see it, because I was kind of in the same mindset. But I'm such a huge fan of the franchise, and we were reviewing it on the channel that, I had to watch it. And going into it, I was like, this is going to be a fun video to make, because this is going to be so dumb that I'm just going to have fun freaking trashing all over this thing. And by the time I got to the end of it, I had some criticisms of it, of course, but I didn't think it was that bad of a movie. And after seeing it, I was like, they should have put this in the theater.
It should have been in a theater. That's a theater quality movie. It should have been released in theaters.
The last couple ones they put out, they should have gone straight to Hulu.
Agreed.
This one they should have definitely released in the theater. But because of the negativity surrounded or around going around the franchise, because of the last couple movies and stuff that have dropped, they're probably like, I think we're just gonna put this straight on streaming service. Like I get it,
Yeah.
but the thing is, after it came out, a lot of people are saying you guys should have put this in the theater. This is actually a good movie. So I definitely think there's going to be a sequel, and it should definitely get a theatrical release because at this point in time, so many more people have seen it. It's already made its money and back from what they spent on it. So I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to get a second one as soon as all this strike stuff is over, and I think we'll end up seeing it in theaters.
Culture, what do you reckon? Would you watch it? Another one?
I think a sequel would work, and again, I understand what Tom's apprehension was, and I know what mine was originally because I didn't see this until very recently. But it did get a lot of bad rap, and it did suffer from some things that really would indicate it is of the current political ideological agenda stuff.
100%.
Yeah, but it really turned out to be tolerable and decent.
Yeah, agreed. I would love to watch another one, but I'm as you can probably tell, a big Alien and Predator nerd, so I love me some Alien and Predator.
Do you ever watch reaction videos of people watching Predator or Aliens for the first time?
No, I hate reaction videos.
Man, I've gotten addicted to them because, like,
really,
I've watched one
I like
the other
certain
night.
ones. I like seeing, especially like younger people. Finally, like he said, like not so much like older people. That's dumb.
Yeah,
but I like seeing like younger people actually who never had any real.
I just don't know whether I believe that is their reaction. Is I go in with a cynicism?
Oh, I'm sure they acted up a little bit, but you were going to say, Nick. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I watched a young couple who's probably 20 years younger than me watch Aliens for the first time. They watched Alien. I didn't see the reaction to that one, but I watched the reaction to Aliens. They had never heard of the series till they started going down this rabbit hole and stuff, and it was funny to watch because they were like jumping, like I know all the jump scares when they're coming, and I like seeing people's reaction, like, and then at the end, like, oh my God, I can't believe I've never seen this. This was such a good movie. Why aren't movies like this out anymore? In today's time.
I like seeing their reactions to like Jaws and The Exorcist as well.
Yeah.
Especially when they're predicting, like, I'm not even going to get scared because I've heard the shark looks fake. And then, like, after the first scene, they're like, oh my God, this thing is terrifying. I don't know if I can finish it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some. We've got a membership actually. So Captain Fandom Nerd has become a member. Thank you so much. That goes a long way. That really does help out. And we've got $2 from the Big Nose. Says, can't wait till Disney puts roundabouts in Disneyland. Yeah, honestly, that'd be the most terrifying ride in the entire place. Well, that about wraps us up for today.
Culture had a joke, I think.
Oh, no. Did you?
He was going to say something.
All I was going to say is they have a roundabout in Disneyland. It's called the Hub, and it's right in front of the castle, and it feeds all 5 of the spokes that come from the Hub. So it does have a roundabout.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I think Disney does actually have one.
Yeah,
you ruined the joke for everyone, guys. Ultra serious.
It's go.
Anyway, ladies and gents, that about wraps it up. Your favorite podcast drawn to a close for this week. We'll be back on Tuesday next week, and we'll be back on Thursday next week as well. Tuesday at 9 p.m. UK time. Set your reminders so you don't miss your favorite podcast with your favorite panel of epic conversationists here. We also just had a quick super chat coming from E. Clay Thomason. Says, look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament, Clark Griswold.
That's what I was talking about.
Yep.
So real quick, 5 seconds, Tom, plug some stuff that you got going on, buddy. What's happening in the world?
Yeah, I should be on Midnight's Edge After Dark here in about 2.5 hours, give or take. So hopefully I'll see you guys there.
Amazing. And Culture Casino, what do you got going on?
Well, we got the 6-minute daily every weekday. As many of you know, I've got 2 videos a day for the most part coming out during the weekdays. And check out my Twitter because you're going to get a daily motivation or a health tip on the weekend. So do that. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Awesome. And Nick, what do you got going on, buddy?
Chill stream tonight on the main channel over at Echo Base Network.
But also, you are going to be getting your channel started off soon, aren't you? Which is linked in the description box.
Yeah. As soon as I get a new computer, hopefully here, maybe by the end of the month. I thought I'd be the end of this month or last month. So I'll be able to be back on camera and do all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Nick Talks Entertainment, and
everyone hit subscribe to Nick's other channel, which is linked in the description box down below. And for me, well, you'll have all your normal bits and pieces. We'll be busy on the second channel, Mr. H Reviews Live Archives, editing up these streams for the best bits and clips. You can also check out, I spent a little bit of time talking about my Datsun. You can find my other channel, a car channel, which is like a vloggy channel, linked down below as well, which is Car Nonsense. Check that out if you fancy it. You don't have to. But yeah, we'll be back Tuesday and Thursday next week. I should be around on Sunday to do a stream. Follow me over on Twitter at Mr. H Reviews. But thank you all so much. From me and everyone else, take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.
Super chat just squeaked in.
Ah, no. Action, I'm getting ready. I'm just about action com. I say, oh no, thank you so much.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's the right reaction.
I know, yeah. Action com. Well, my back is saying I've had enough. Action com for $5 says, I'm not sure about reactions being fake mistake. A girl watching Star Trek 2 thought Khan was a victim of Kirk, at least at first. Oh, okay.
Con! Okay, sorry.
Not sure about reactions to being fake, Mr. H. A girl watching Star Trek 2 thought
that
Khan was a victim of Kirk, at least at first. I think he meant Khan is the character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, a lot of these people who've never seen or know anything about these movies will be like, they'll start talking during it and be like thinking one thing when they're completely wrong,
so basically,
and then they figure it out.
Bunch of dumb shit then.
Yeah,
is what it is. Right. Okay. Well, maybe they're not all fake then. I stand corrected. Right, guys. From me and everyone else, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.